Howdy, folks. Welcome to Adventures in Arboreal, Courts of Everest.
I was the responsible one this time.
I'm Joe Treff, your DM this evening and most, and joining me is my responsible friend Matt, along with the rest of my friends. I almost said Valis. That threw me all off. Yeah. Vincent, Tina, Hannah, and Alana. Kara is not with us again, out on wedding duty, but will be back with us next week, I hope. We're going to play D&D tonight. But what?
The way you said it sounded like she was officiating a wedding or something.
I mean,
it's her side gig.
Yeah. I'm an officiant in the state of New York, you know.
Marriage.
We're going to play D&D today before we do a couple of quick announcements. First of all, we played Mosaic Team 5 last night. It was just a lovely little drift drive with a significantly greater number of passengers than I had planned. Actually, all of those miniatures we have to keep track of on the table near you because those are all on the ship
I'll just
right now.
keep them all in my pocket.
To see the most crowded trip of all time. You can watch that when it re-airs on YouTube at Arboreal RPG on Sunday at noon, followed by this at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have an Instagram and other social media at Arboreal RPG. We have a website, arborealrpg.com, and finally, we have a couple other things, sorry. We have art coming out. It's really cool. It's animated, and it's going to be part of an introduction. We're partnering with a local artist, and that is thanks to people supporting with bits and channel points, so thank you so much for that. We're also having some art come to us from Sophie, from the whole party. It's going to be the dinner on the Turtle Beach, which is not what it's called, but it's easy to say. And so, not a sponsor. And so, that's going to be coming. That's going to be on Instagram at Arboreal RPG as well. And then finally, for the music, like what is called A Glimmer of Hope, or other music like, here, I'll turn on a little bit of what is called intriguing banquet music.
You know what I haven't heard in a while? The glub theme.
Okay, you didn't say the best music that
the best music.
Yeah, it's not in there anymore.
I've gotten over that mostly.
Sirenscape, if you're listening, jungle music, please bring it back. It's so good. I remember the night that I had planned to download it and put it as my ringtone. It was gone. Yeah, it was anyway, Siren digital toolscape that you can use for sound and such. And with that great disclosure, I'm going to go ahead and start us on our recap. Weird energy tonight.
We're all having a time.
It's been a week.
I feel so well rested.
The last time I felt well rested, I think I was like 2 or 3 years old.
It's because I'm drinking this poop coffee.
Wandering Hearts. Last that we played, Minka, you propped Ori up to rest as you considered the trapped individual within this cage, ultimately deciding along with Ori that they were trapped forever and could never be rescued. Billy climbed, and with Cheshire levitating up to the top level, investigating there, Cheshire, you accumulated what ended up being well over 750 gold pieces, minus 1 that you shared with Billy. Billy managed to obtain a number of small gold coins that were very different in make and seemed to have some element of darkness to them. After this time, you all managed to rest, regain your strength, and for some of you emerge a little stronger than you had entered. Ori, you woke first after trancing and took a great deal of time and pain to discover a magical weapon and then hide it in such a way that anybody might think that you found it that morning instead for some reason.
Well, because I didn't.
And nobody found this upsetting at all.
I didn't want.
Eventually, everybody woke. Ori, you found a weapon on the ground.
Going up for the first time ever and not exploring the night before like I was told not to.
And having regathered all of your strength, you pushed into the Shadowfell for the first time. Initially into the gloomy Underdark, or the Shadow. I can't remember what it's called now. Shadowdark. There you go. Thank you. Into the Shadowdark proper. Eventually, you found your way to caverns and tunnels that had a feature called Gloom, a dark cloud that would suck the happiness from you, elements of your life force, and also force you to re-experience these heavier memories. An interesting thing that happened as well, and actually just recalling this, but pertinent to Valis and something that we'll visit right at the beginning, Above the throne of blood, there were a number of silver threads that seemed to be elements of memories. And although, Valis, you did miss an opportunity to interact with many of them, as some of them are now in Cheshire's pocket, we'll quickly revisit that and give you a chance to interact with that.
That's so nice.
We cut to the party walking. It zooms in on Valis's head as we go back to his memory.
We'll do an interesting and important thing there. But I just remembered that, so an important thing to do. You did eventually reach the Shadowfell proper and began to follow the giant's footsteps, which quickly faded in the ashes that fell from the sky above. Ori, you led the party, although this turned out to maybe be not the best choice, as you led yourself into a very large circle that took the better part of a day. Billy made the decision after that to take 2 of these coins that were laced with darkness, hold them out to the Shadowfell at large, and then ask for a guide in exchange for these 2 soul coins. After which a figure emerged who does not work for Hearsome, but some other entity. I mean, I guess it isn't explicit that he doesn't not work for Hearsome.
He like name dropped. I don't know.
But this figure cloaked
Whatever.
in shadow with no face visible, very comfortable in the Shadowfell, guided you all to a cave after revealing that Ori had been about to lead the party in no more than 80 feet away, a chasm that they would have plummeted into.
I would have noticed.
You were, with your check, you were walking straight, there were dexterity checks in your future, but you managed to reach the cave safely. And as you reached the cusp of a phase circle from which Hearsome stepped, that is where we begin this evening. Although, as previously discussed,
We begin with a flashback.
some cool dreamy music for that. Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? You said club. It's on this track. So, Valis, in this brief moment, as the party is like pausing outside of this circle, the camera does into your face. Valis has been very quiet in your walk through the Shadowfell, and it's because he's been remembering this. Valis, when you and Ori awoke from a trance, there was a period of time where Ori was like, Valis, you got this? And you were like, and you kind of like had to watch both doors for a little bit. But once Ori
I was
eventually
up to
came
no
back,
good.
you would have had a chance to go up and take a look at this if you want. So in the space, you would have seen the Throne of Blood, this gory sort of chair with elements of viscera that drip up and up and up until they kind of reach a point above where they seem to kind of plummet back down. Above that, there are still a few threads that when you wake up, not quite as active and not quite as full as this circle, but there are still some there. Is there anything that you want to do with that?
Yeah. So at this point, Valis was pretty sure that these were. We discovered these were memory threads already, right? That was already discussed with the party?
Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that we've seen 2 Austenlock, one of them being Sermenti, and that his memories were taken and lost by, I think, Billy. Or snapped, I should say.
There's at least one that was snapped by Billy, yeah.
But it was Sermenti, and he had Austenlock robes, and it's making me suspect that, like, these memories got here somewhere, and the Austenlock memory wipes would be a great place for memories to be lost and found here. So I think my memories might be one of these threads.
Mhm.
How would I try to figure out if one of the ones on the throne or if one of the ones in Cheshire's pockets is perhaps mine?
Well, that really depends. So in terms of, you can see these kind of dull silvery threads that hang above the throne. They are a good ways up, and they're kind of anchored into the stone itself. Billy had mentioned that there were these sylvan glyphs that they seem attached to, and so you could investigate that perhaps to find some more information if you speak Sylvan.
I do speak Sylvan.
So if there's a way that you could get a little closer, you could definitely...
Okay. Is it climbable?
It would be difficult, but yeah, I mean, it's a cave wall.
How high up is it?
I believe it's 60 feet up.
It was
60
60
feet.
Yeah,
Ooh, that
60
is
feet.
high.
60 feet.
Can I fly?
Alice, in the dark space while everybody else sleeps, just pop, pop. No. Still no. Haven't grown those wings in yet.
Maybe one day. Let's see.
So wait, is Valis still at the ground level?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the ground level of like the top, and presumably this is when you are down because you guys are
I
kind
was
of
gonna see
trading
if
off
I
this
could
duty.
help him up as thanks for keeping the secret that I.
No, but the runes are on the ceiling, right?
So
They're
if you
not
picture
on
the ceiling as kind of like a relatively flat but uneven surface, there is a small lip that is probably about 2 inches that goes down from the ceiling, and they are all along that lip, and then it kind of flattens out for the rest of the ceiling around. So it's not flush up against the ceiling, but you can definitely see them if you get to an angle on them. You can't really see. They're very small, so it's hard to read them from here. Is really the issue. You can see them.
Okay. Is Cheshire awake?
No.
Okay.
Am I awake?
So right now
It's
it's
just-
technically you and Ori. Yeah.
Just me and Ori.
Okay.
Everyone else is snoozing.
So
So you have
writing
access to all of Ori's spells, and that's pretty much it.
I could have. I'm down there.
You are.
I think it's like this, right? So this is the top, and that's the throne, and there's kind of like this.
Yeah.
cadence.
Yeah.
It's bro elf time.
Yeah. Can you? I'm gonna need a boost to at least reach the bottom of the strings that are on top of the throne, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll ask Ori to help give me a boost, and I just want to.
Oh, I gotta. And like, everyone's still asleep.
Yeah.
Scurry back up.
Okay. So last week Hannah gets even more mad as Ori goes up. But yeah, no problem. You go up, you can help and get a boost, and go ahead and make an investigation check.
Okay.
It's right there.
But then they would have
my
known
God.
that I had gone up.
Ori, as you're like boosting Valis up, you're like,
So you didn't see it.
This week
So you
had a
didn't
face
see
review
anything
because
else?
indeed she had an aneurysm last week.
You didn't see anything else up here while you were looking around, did you? No
4.
neat weapons or
I like that you think that holding.
I want to just touch each of the string to see if any of them resonate with me.
so with a 4, sure, you kind of just touch the first one that you see.
I don't want to like try to remove anything. I just want to touch them and see if anything resonates.
Sure, you touch the very first one, and all at once, you are in this thicket. There are bugs, and they kind of like are the sort of stinging bugs, but at the same time, it is wet, and you can smell flowers, and this is a place that is very alive. And across this thicket from you, you can see a brilliant white stag, and it turns and it looks at you, and then steps off and into the woods, and then right back into this cave. Not you. The hands were very feminine, and they almost seem to have like a golden glow from within.
Okay. But I didn't damage the string or anything, right?
No.
Alright, can I continue? How many strings are left? Like,
At a quick count, more than 80.
okay.
There's a lot.
Oh. Then
Flashback is actually just gonna last all 3 hours.
is it gonna be another check to try to just continue investigating and looking for a string that smells like Valis?
If you want to just keep touching strings, you can just keep touching strings.
Alright, I'm just gonna keep touching strings until something seems like me.
Make a dexterity
I'm
saving
just
throw.
watching Valis like, nope.
I'm good at that.
You okay there,
20,
buddy?
30, 20.
A dirty 20. So even though by rules I wrote this as a glyph of warding, it is going to be psychic damage because it had to be silent because nobody woke up. So
So it is.
you are taking 12 points of psychic damage as the little glyph in Sylvan, instead of like glowing and thrumming and kind of pulling you into this memory, glows this like dark purple color and then just in your mind, it's like glass shattering. This incredibly loud nails on chalkboard sound. And then with your ears still ringing, you like look around, everybody's still sleeping. Cheshire's like smiling and kind of like snuggles up to whatever she's holding. It's like nobody else has heard this.
Now Ori's just doing the...
Is this damage from spells?
Yes.
Alright, so since I long rested and I leveled, I now have the aura of warding. So half damage.
There you go.
Nice.
I touch more strings.
The next string that you touch.
like a harp.
The danger harp.
Do you?
No.
Oh my god, he was so excited.
And that's why Valis is quiet. He actually died back there.
You realize,
Ori's doing a weekend at Bernie's thing. I can't let them know that he died while I was on watch.
So what do you want to do? As your ears ring in this space, you kind of look around. It hasn't affected anybody yet, but there are a lot of these strings, and it would be hard to imagine that there are not more of these kind of unpleasant ones.
Let's see. Did anything was anything different between the first string and the second string?
With that 4, they were identical.
Can I...
They were bought from the same factory, same pack, same lot. Like, they're even the die matching works.
Alright. I would like to say to Ori, some of these strings are trapped and do psychic damage, and some of them hold memories. I can't see the difference between them. Can you take a look and see if you can?
You mean you want me to see why when you touched that one you were like...
Yeah. That.
Right,
And I touched the first one and I experienced a memory, but it wasn't my own. Can you see if you can see a difference between them?
Can I
Yeah, make an
try to
investigation
like...
check. Wait, do you read Sylvan?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I literally think it's only Minka who does not.
Which feels kind of weird.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. I know
As
Druidic.
the druid, yeah.
I took
Using my
French.
eye for
I took
detail.
Spanish.
It's not really hidden. This is
Yeah, I guess
magical
that's...
stuff.
Yeah.
Had to be different.
Ooh, okay. I believe it is a dirty 20, but let me just double check. Yep, dirty 20.
So the way that these are rigged, it really takes both ends to be able to kind of determine whether or not this is kind of like, so you notice that there are 2 symbols basically that anchor into either side. And if both of them seem to match, that seems to be the safer options. You look at the one that like Valis touched, both of them match on either end. The one that Valis touched after that, the one that Valis touched and then he, as he said, it seems to have 2 mismatched symbols.
Okay.
You feel pretty confident about that. And that is hoping that there isn't like a secondary level to this, which there very well might be.
Okay.
Because looking at this, not only are there different shapes, there are different sizes, and there are some places where, although it's the same color, they're not or the same symbol, they're not oriented in the same direction.
So it's kind of like those old like kindergarten puzzles where it's like the 2 green lines and the 2 blue lines that are the same shape but a different color.
Yes,
and then,
kind of, but like magic
in
and
like a language.
Yes, yeah.
Do any of those symbols, the ones that do match, like, do they mean anything in Sylvan, or are they just like characters or something?
You see one that seems to say mask. You see one that says mischief. You said 20?
Yes.
One that says meteor. And you say one that says
Valis.
tomb.
Mask, mischief, meteor, and tomb. And those are the
actually, with
ones
the
that
20,
match.
You would also see the Arcanoclast.
The Arcanoclast.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will tell Valis all of this and point out the matching ones and the ones that say the 5 things that you just told us.
Okay.
Mask, mischief.
So Ori tells you these things, and they're
the Arcanoclast.
I mean, they're words that you are familiar with. You haven't heard of Arcanoclast, and you haven't heard of that word so hard that it leaves a gaping hole in your knowledge. This is something where when you think about those letters in that order, it just doesn't sit right in your mind. It's almost like you're trying to look at those little squiggles in your eyes and they just move whenever you look at them. And so,
or like if you say quadrant a bunch.
anyway, really. But
Quadrant.
So, are you saying that like there are? So I'm trying to understand. So there's these 5 words, and one of them I can't seem to even understand as a word.
You can read the word Arcanoclast. When you read it, it goes into your mind and then just leaves. And when you close your eyes, you can't think of what it is that you just read.
And where is this word again? This is one of the runes.
One of the runes that seems to match and
it's
anchors one string on either side.
It's like symbol, string,
Okay.
symbol, and the ones that match are these are the symbols.
Oh, I see. I touched the Iconoclast one.
Okay. So you touch this string, and suddenly, Valis, you are standing at a long presentation table of black marble resting on long boards of mahogany. And you stand with research in front of you, your research. And the assembled Austenlark Arcanoclast, the council elected every 10 years to review research grant requests. And you don't understand. It's so promising, and you are so close. Why are they shaking their heads? And then you're back in the cave. And you don't. All of that is stuff that you remember, and you know that that's important, and that was you. Those are your hands in that memory, but you just can't place those disparate pieces of information into another context. That is a single memory that just sits there now. You're not sure where that building is, although it's familiar to you. You're not sure of what those people's names are, although you've seen every single face before. It's a very disconcerting feeling. But this is certainly your memory.
Okay. What do I remember from Billy and Cheshire trying to remove the string safely?
You were trancing.
Oh, I was trancing.
Trancing?
Oh, alright. Yeah, I think this one is my memory, but I don't know how to remove it.
Do I know how to remove it?
You've got a bunch of daggers and stuff. I mean, you could just cut it off. But I mean, make an Arcana check.
Oh, can I also make one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, 17.
17. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Oh my god, not a day for skill checks for me. 9.
I mean, both of you are aware of how to make matter not attached to other matter. Whether you could do it in a way to be able to preserve the core memory, hard to tell. It's unclear if that's a possibility. And then you also don't know necessarily, I mean, if you break this, does the memory just go away?
Right.
Or does it return?
Cutting a hose.
Oh, that's a good point.
So,
And with your check, not a clue.
with 17, do I have any idea?
With your check, and you really don't have any background in, like,
Blood magic.
this isn't blood magic. So this very specific, you have no background in what this is. Yeah, it's not blood magic though.
Do I know that Cheshire was able to successfully remove some of these and have them still seem to be intact?
Cheshire is in general pretty secretive about what they do, but it was Cheshire and Billy that were up there doing it. And
Okay.
I don't even know that Billy was necessarily paying attention for that part.
So I could try to cut it for you, but I don't know if it's gonna work.
I think I'm gonna wait for the others to wake up and ask for their help.
Alright, but I wasn't up here. Scurry down.
Oh no.
So in the morning,
So-
when people do wake up, who are you enlisting for help?
I would like to enlist Cheshire and Minka. I've
Okay.
seen them both cast spells or do things to help with
Both used magic.
doing things.
They have both used magic.
And I wanted to ask for their help and tell them what I'm trying to do. You have used magic that's helped with us doing things, and I think somehow your words just let me do things better. So I want to ask for your help and to try to remove this string. And I don't know if any.
Oh, you want that one?
Yes, that one.
Okay. I'm gonna get it.
Okay, make how
Just gonna grab it.
are you doing it the same way that you did the other ones?
I am.
Okay. So you go up and you kind of like snap the string off. You have a vivid memory of standing at a long presentation table, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then gone. And you have the sense that that memory is gone. But you have the string.
Shoot.
Just like Valis asked.
Yeah.
Roll a D100.
I'm so confused.
She experienced the memory, and then she realized that it's gone after the string.
Oh, okay.
She broke your
82?
memory. With an 82, as the string breaks, you can see like the little tiny bit of like thread that is left in the wall kind of wither and fade. And as it falls and becomes almost like this weak little wisp of silk, it then stretches and seems to almost droop and drop. And you realize you're looking at a separate string, almost like coming away from that. And it leads from the wall to Valis. And you can see this strand in your hand very much connected to Valis. And then you can see it just follows far and far away and into a wall. And you look down at the lever and you really want to pull that lever.
Is it the wall that it was attached to, or is
It's
it the
that
wall?
same lever that you looked at Billy later and said,
No,
Billy, I want to
where
turn
it-
that lever.
Yeah,
The string.
the string.
So this is, you get the sense that whatever this string was, is certainly connected to Valis, and it's connected to more beyond.
Through
In the
wall of
direction that we're going, or
Correct.
Okay.
And so all of this is to say, if Valis, you're looking to follow this thread, it leads in the direction that you guys have all gone, and then we can just progress our story back to where we are today.
And then we zoom out of Valis's mind, and he's just like,
Wish I had that memory. So, and for what it's worth, you can, it's like remembering a dream, kind of. You can remember just little bits of it, but the substance to it, the memory of those faces before you could like picture the race, like the little individual things that would separate them in a crowd, you could have probably drawn them from memory. There were 5 or 6 figures now, and you're not quite sure which number. And you weren't sure if they were all human. They may not have even been dressed. They may not have even been in the same room. And it's hard to tell, and that kind of fades a little away until all you can remember with any clarity is a black marble table on boards of mahogany. And that much stays pretty clear. So all of you, 1 second, I'm in last week's notes. Oh, I got to change the music. A whole different vibe here.
flashback.
Okay.
you got a memory. And then you lost it.
Wah, wah.
Still a little bit
Easy
confused
come,
how I
easy
lost
go.
it.
You didn't. Cheshire lost it.
By breaking the strands,
Yeah.
it seems to lose the memory. It's not. There's an Cheshire
extraction
fulfilled
method.
getting it for you. There appears to not be. That does not appear to be the correct way to do it in a way of keeping it intact.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought they were removed.
Some of them were.
Cheshire has a whole bunch of strings. You don't know that, and also they're certainly not active memories anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but Cheshire also doesn't know that.
They're just strings.
Yeah, like Cheshire just took a bunch of strings because people seemed interested in them, I assume.
Gotcha.
Billy told me to.
Yeah, and like had a bunch of crazy memories.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
I would have
all of
given
you
you
now.
the string you asked for. I would not have told you that it was connected to what it
Yeah.
was.
And so you have that string. It's just kind of a piece of silvery thread, but all of you now are within this cave. It is warm here. Unlike the rest of the place that you've been, that raw chill doesn't seem to penetrate into this place. And you can see in this circle of little toadstools and bits of moss and lichen, this shimmering portal. And through it, you can see this beautiful hill that rolls down into a valley of green grasses that are shrouded in this veil of monstrous maples and birches and oaks. But in front of that is Hirsum, who again kind of nods to all of you and says, "You've made it, and you've done well. You've earned some time to rest. We have much to discuss.
Inside check.
Make an insight check." And he
Can I also make an
steps through.
insight
Yeah, go for
Oh,
Here for
that's
deceit.
awful.
it. Okay, yeah, go for it.
That was so bad.
I got
Just
a
assume.
10, maybe.
Okay.
Just
Not
know.
awesome. Oh no, I got a 12.
I
23.
think I actually got a 10.
Hirsum seems to be a little disappointed that you didn't quite reach the Divine Court, but ultimately seems to be aware of the fact that you guys went through a pretty significant ordeal and have earned a rest.
Cool.
There's no facetiousness or mocking.
So he's
them.
not like mad that we did it.
Definitely not. No. I mean, you know, like in this, like you guys did a great job. It wasn't at all what you were sent to do, but you adjusted to circumstances essentially. Cool. You get the sense he's not mad at you.
Okay, cool.
So he steps through, and this portal just and goes back to being this shimmering kind of almost like a liquid mirror that has this other place beyond. What would you guys like to do?
Does it seem like we're back on the material plane? Do I recognize where
We haven't gone through yet.
We're going through.
If you guys want, you don't have to.
We go through.
He said the
I go through.
Okay.
He opened it and walked through.
He walked.
Oh yeah, I'll go through. Yeah.
You go through. Okay.
I'll walk through.
We're all going through.
Yeah.
Is anybody not going through?
Billy
Billy,
stays
you're
behind.
not, Billy said that. Billy didn't say anything. So Billy stays.
Alina basically has
No,
Billy
no,
on
I know.
leash unless I say otherwise.
No, in general, yes.
Bye, Billy.
Okay, now that I'm through, I'd like to see if I can orient myself as to A, what plane we're on, and B, where.
Make a survival check at advantage immediately as you step through, and you can smell this sweet air. It is the Feywild. And whether or not you know the specific place,
18.
as you look out into this beautiful forest, you see maples, birches, oaks, lindens, and other deciduous broadleaf trees that are taller than even the redwoods that we would have in like our California. This is a place that is known as the Gen Forest, and it is, like everywhere in the Feywild, kind of a place that isn't always in the same boundaries or isn't always lying in the same place, but it typically lies in the Kingdom of Spring. And so this is a place that is full of life. Like anywhere in the Feywild, there is a little danger as well, but it is a place that is known for likely, but is behind the portal, not visible on the other side. There's a winery that is known as the Arboreal Vineyard. And this is a place that grows all manner of grapes that are both mundane and magical into wine. I think that's probably all that you would know about it, but it's a very nice place.
Okay, Alina's like, oh, it's a nice place.
And as you do step out into there, you can see, this hilltop kind of goes down into the forest below. And then turning as you step through and looking back, you can see there is this huddle of white buildings of various sizes with red clay tiled roofs that are surrounded by successively lower terraces that descend into the valley proper. And on each terrace, you can see just these rows of vines, all of them dark green, and each is just studded with tiny little grapes of various colors. You see red and these kind of greens like you might expect, but there are some that even from this distance, and even in the kind of shimmer of this valley, you can see glowing. You see actually a vine of good berries. There are all kinds of things that are growing here, and they are tended to by dozens of willowy dryads with delicate fingers and these little flapping budded leaves along their arms that pick these grapes and put them into woven baskets. And as your eyes kind of adjust to the light here, there are dozens of them in this expansive place. Hirsim stands about 10 feet closer to the buildings. He's already taken a couple of feet that way. He has 1 foot that's like a step up, and he turns and kind of looks at all of you. And he says, I've kept myself appraised of your progress thus far. It deviated from our plan somewhat, huh?
Yes.
He turns and looks at you, Ori, and then kind of like lingers for just a little bit longer than the rest of you.
There's suddenly a flashing culprit over Ori's head.
Sentinel was very convincing.
He didn't really give us a choice, and he seems much stronger than all of us.
He threatened to eat Ori.
He is
That
an
is true.
irksome owl, mostly because he is often right.
Oh.
And the task he set us to do seemed like something good for the realm.
Those
Ultimately,
cards are really cool.
what?
What?
Oh, in the portal that we walked through, there were cards. They're really cool.
The way that Sentinel's magic works often is different than many of ours. But ultimately, yes, sealing that rift brings a level of safety to the region that it hasn't known in some time. I've also been busy, but you've earned a chance to rest. Some food, some drink, maybe some comfortable seating, and let's talk about what comes next. And he turns and just continues to walk. Are you following him?
Work.
So we're not heading to the divine cult
He
anymore.
said rest.
He turns and over his shoulder as he's walking and leading you up this set of court steps towards this lacquered redwood kind of set of doors that are slightly ajar. He says, you are still heading there ultimately, but it seems as if there may be some work to do first.
Okay.
He turns and he pushes these doors fully open, and you can see the doors have these hinges that are formed to look almost like both a Druce and a Dryad, which is a male Dryad and a Dryad, kind of pulling the doors open from a center point. And as he opens up these doors through that, you can see there are like 3 or 4 more stairs that lead to a long tile walkway. And on either side, it recesses just like a foot or two, and you can see about 2 inches standing of just wine that floods this entire cavernous room, maybe 200 feet to the back. It's an expansive chamber with towering 35-foot tall ceilings, and then along the edges of the room, there are 20-foot tall oaken barrels that are ringed with steel collars that lock every 3 feet apart. And then in chalk, you see beautiful renderings of grapes on each one, each slightly different, each featuring different names and different dates that are kind of reminders of what are in there. And in the center of this room, kind of like the roots twisting in the wine, there is a huge towering treant that seems to be formed of olive trees that have woven together. They have twisted bark and wood that rises up to a huge canopy of tiny, thin, elongated oval leaves. You can see they seem to be like directing everybody here. And they say, Eucalyphia, prepare the vat of Feywild gold for tasting. Azola, excellent work on stepping our problem with the Barolo barrels. Embarrassing, really. And could somebody, please, for the love of Titania, get me some cheese? I've been drinking all day. And he like lifts his roots up and they just all drip with the wine that he is kind of crawling through. And he does seem, I mean, he's a tree, but for a tree, a little red around the cheeks. But here's continues to walk almost straight past him and just turns and says, Greeting, Ulvad. Greeting, Ulvad. I didn't try this in Hirsam's voice. It's a hard name in that voice. Ulvardak. And thank you again for hosting us. And this treant says, good, Hirsam. The pleasure is all mine. All mine. I've had some special samples delivered to the Quatia. The Coal Princess sent word that they'll be along shortly. And Hirsam says, simply splendid. There is no better host than you. And he just kind of gives a little half bow and turns back to you and says, come along, wandering hearts. And makes his way through the doors about 200 feet away down that platform. Are you all just following through?
Yeah, and as we walk, telepathically, Alina says to Rez, I wonder if there's any chocolate here.
Make a perception check for Rez.
Yeah.
Just a bunch
That's a
of
natural
fucking
20.
grapes.
Rez goes, oh my god. I wouldn't have even thought a thing about it, but there's a little something here. I can smell it.
Okay. We're gonna get it.
Can I just...
Okay, but don't get caught.
I mean, okay. You feel these like heavy wings carry him away.
And as he goes, Alina's like, I'm not going to be responsible for anything you do.
So suddenly you hear, whoa, hold up. In your mind you go, I thought, but if you said it's okay, I'm like, we got this deal, right? Like I'm your familiar, you're kind of like responsible. It's like a child situation. If I break something, you gotta pay for it.
Maybe we should like get it in a regular way.
I don't have any gold. You don't pay me.
You're gonna be a terrible.
Okay, I have gold. That's okay. I'll buy it for you.
Okay.
And that way, okay. Cool.
I will disavow all knowledge of you.
If you get in trouble, I disown you.
I've never seen that in before. So
That's Ori's.
through following Hirsam, progressing along the raised path through 2 wooden doors and into a large hallway that has a number of hallways that go off of it. The first hall that you can see, above it you can see a sign that says in beautiful kind of chalk writing, the tasting room. The hallway across from that is guest chambers. And then the next 2 doors are marked sauna. And the final one, which is open, is the Loquacia, which is a beautiful dining room. And as you step through here, this door has hinges and steel that work towards the center and pictures 2 satyrs, which are sharing drinks and laughs. There is this expansive circular chamber with white quartz table that kind of forms like a dot in the center of it. Around the exterior of this place, there are tall pillars that rise up up and up and up to the tallest point in this place, which is about 80 feet. It's like a tower or like a steeple. Each of these 12 pillars is shaped like a dryad, with each of their arms becoming a canopy overhead of interlaced stone branches. And on the table, there is a 4-foot-long silver platter of cheeses. You see creamy goat's milk cheeses with chive. You see sharp, hard cheeses. You can see something that smells like cream in the middle, but then becomes harder towards the outside. There are meats and grapes and olives and dates and nuts, and it's just this whole, essentially like a massive charcuterie board that is definitely enough for far more than you. But Hearsome immediately pulls up a chair, and there are many others around, and like grabs a little bit of cheese and turns and says, "Please."
Absolutely.
Sit.
While we're kind of like sitting, is Tree Guy there?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone around who appears to be like, working?
No.
Okay. Okay, soon, buddy. Don't worry.
Okay. Hearsome turns, and as he eats this cheese, and you guys all kind of get settled in, he says, "You haven't been gone long, but the kingdom has been busy. I've also been busy and found several items that might interest you. I don't know how long you would like to take a bit of a rest. The Shadowfell can be taxing for many, but when you're ready, I've located 3 things that may be of interest."
Ooh.
I'm ready.
Ah,
I think we're okay.
well, very well.
Well,
We can rest after, right?
Of course. I believe Olvar Dark has set aside the guest suites for you, so you should find a suite of rooms set aside.
That is sweet.
I would like to speak to you regarding our adventures in the Shadowfell after. If you don't mind a moment, here's some.
Of course. I appreciate your help, Valis. I know that you joined a little bit later than the rest of the Wandering Hearts, and so I owe you that much at least. For the rest of you, is there anything that you wish to know in your absence?
how long were we gone? Are we?
Well, Minka, quite frankly, I'm surprised that you're alive. No, you've been gone for...
Surprised that the rest of us are alive, really.
It is the 21st of summertime.
Okay.
It's been like a week.
Yeah.
5 days, something like that.
Okay, that's not too bad.
The important thing is the correct amount of time has passed
Yeah.
since you left. It's a appropriate amount of time.
Okay, that's good. Oh. Wait. There was a thing I wanted to ask.
remember like what was happening before we left.
Are we still heading north?
Well, that really depends. There's a number of things that I've found, and it really is up to you which you think will be the most useful. I have a recommendation, of course, as it involves a friend of mine, but it is up to you. There is an item that is known as Sinterson. It is a sword that is made of a peculiar crystal, and I thought it might be especially interesting because it will bring you a little bit closer to Blackvein. It's rumored to be deep beneath the ground there. Minka, you may be able to help especially, as you are familiar with those places. There is an item that is known as the Song of Dark Morning. This is something that I would discourage, simply because it is in the hands of an army at the moment, and, well, the Shadowfell was trouble enough. This would be much more difficult. The final item that I found is the Char-Hearted King's prayer beads, and I've found somebody who will give these to us on the condition that we help them.
Right.
And this is, I think, what would help us all most.
Remove the fire giants from... Yeah.
What do you know of the Char-Hearted King?
No.
There's got deposed.
Basare was the fire genasi. Relatively recently killed.
Basare is the friend of mine who I spoke of.
Ah, yes. So, the coalmonger was just deposed rather violently by the fire giants, who have now taken over. from what I have heard.
I'm surprised, Ori. You're knowledgeable of events that have happened in the Feywild.
A bit.
Very well. I don't need to fill you in on too many of the details then. Ori can do that for me, but in the meantime, I will tell you that this... Oh,
Be a
Binka.
bit good for a refresher for everyone.
Ori's a really bad storyteller. And last he was mentioned it, he did the weird trailing off thing, and we kind of missed part of it.
Ah,
So, could you explain it better?
very well.
That's probably for the best, yeah. It's pretty,
As Ori said, the Char-Hearted King was slain by fire giants who removed the fire genasi from their home, a place that is enclaved within a volcano, within the Feywild. With Basari's help, and he should be along shortly, you could infiltrate this place, and these fire giants need to be removed. But it does not necessarily need to be with violence. I will say that fire giants, in my experience, are not the most reasonable, but it is an option that you have.
Okay. Oh, sorry. How related is that current? Well, okay. How long ago was this? Did this happen? This power shift? Are we talking weeks, years, decades?
Years.
Years.
a couple of years ago.
6 years ago,
6.
give or take.
Okay.
Do we know what motivated the fire giants to displace the fire genasi?
Well, I would imagine the army that is taken root up north. As I do not know of anywhere else that fire giants exist on this continent. They typically
Is that the
hail
same,
from Mithelstream.
the same army that has the Song of Dark Morning?
Yes.
Who leads that army?
Conflicting reports about that, actually, but there has been mention that there is, and I would have said that this is absolutely impossible if it hadn't been for the last decade or so, but a dragon leading this army. More locally, at least, what people have said from the Valley of Fireflies, there is a fire genasi that leads the local garrison.
Oh, I think we saw him. Oh, not closely. From afar.
when was this?
Way
Oh,
back.
like in like the second session.
It's an individual of some renown. They were a warrior.
Ignis Fireboard.
Ignis of Brass, yes.
Yeah.
They were a warrior who hailed from the city of Brass, believe it or not.
Literally the first page of notes.
I'm sorry, I just get excited when my database works.
So
Session 1.
the fire giants used to live in the north, but then they were.
That is my assumption. Again, I don't spend very much time in Everest, and so I'm really here for the treaty, as all of you are. But as far as I know, that is the only place that has any volcanic activity, and so that would follow.
And, okay. Why is this? Could we perhaps talk to the fire giants and enlist their help to, if they perhaps want to return to their home to the north? And that
I
might.
will leave that to you. As I said before, not everything needs to be solved with violence, although I suppose that is just violence at a later time. But absolutely, you can try what you will.
Do they speak common?
I have not met these fire giants.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't think any of us speak giant.
We've become painfully aware of the fact that none of us speak giant, yes.
Is there?
And you are all looking at me as if I can solve that problem for you.
Well, no,
Listen,
I just
I
didn't know if you
can
knew.
enroll you in some courses in the Austin Lock as we agreed once we've concluded business here. But in the meantime, I think that is a something that we will need to overcome otherwise.
Okay, I can swap out my spells and get tongues. That's fine.
Someone could probably hire a translator or something.
And I didn't, yeah. Oh. Well, that
I
would be
mean,
I
there
love
are
the
so
idea
many spells
there is
in the
an
world.
adventurer translator somewhere out there who is the Indiana Jones of translators, who is now absolutely a character I'm going to write somewhere in Alba. I don't know if it'll be on Everest.
Look at the rest of the
You're
party and be
welcome.
like, and say, all of y'all make fun of Ori a lot for not having magic, and you're telling me you cannot solve the language problem without magic?
I will have you know that I know a spell called Comprehend Languages. It just doesn't allow me to
There it is.
speak the language.
Well, that's not very helpful then, is it?
Well, I considered swapping it out for tongues at level 7, but I decided not to. Right?
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't grow up around anyone who knew giant. And we didn't really have any materials. Oh.
Minka's gonna try to whisper to whoever's sitting next to her.
Okay.
We're just gonna pretend as Alina.
Sure.
It's nothing.
You can see here some is just eating and just takes a grape and just very well.
Why do you recommend this item or this path for us out of the other two?
Well, I think it would suit you especially, Valis. And as he turns, from over his shoulder, you can hear this voice that just says, "I'm sorry I'm late." And if you turn and look at the door, you can see a fire genasi with warm brown skin. It seems to glow from within, like an inner fire, although it has this kind of like inner glow that comes, not so much like a fire, but purple eyes, straight, short hair that's the color of oil on water. It's black, but has this rainbow kind of sheen down when the light hits. He's a little bit taller than Ori. Yeah, and that's what you can kind of tell by him. Wears very simple black sort of clothing of a fine material, but not especially fancy make. But he approaches the table and hears some stands and says, "This is Basare Coalmonger, Prince Basare, if you will." And Basare just kind of like shakes his hand and just goes, "I'm not a prince without a home." And he like joins you all at the table. He'll sit next to you, Minka. So all of you now around this table hear some turns and says, "I was just telling Valis about your father's prayer beads." And Basare nods and just turns to you and says, "Do you worship some god?"
I do.
The god of knowledge.
Not
Do you
any
say
god,
that, Ori?
but just
No, okay.
not any god, but just
All gods.
um.
All faith.
It's not really. I don't really worship a god, and I do have divine powers, but my powers come from my oath to protect life itself.
It's a misconception that you need to believe in a god to have powers. You just need to believe. But you believe in something.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it can help you. And here's some turns and just kind of nods and says, "Well, that settles that." These prayer beads have powerful magic laced within them, and it does change from day to day. So even if you use each of the beads that is within them, they should replenish after time. Especially now, it will give you some capabilities that you will not have for some time. Basare kind of turns and he says, "Hearsome tells me that you're an adventuring party."
The Wandering
So the
Hearts.
story goes.
Turns and looks at you, Cheshire, who is the glowing pink person in this room. Are you a wizard?
Minor illusions and sparkles. Yes.
Well, that's good at least. Have you fought giants before?
Yes.
Actually,
So,
like an hour ago. Yeah.
He raises an eye and actually makes an insight check. And then just kind of nods and goes, "Well, that's fortuitous, I guess."
stone
He
giant.
was huge.
It
Yeah.
may seem like sarcasm, but
Well,
it
that's-
was not.
No, yeah.
That's different.
It was a stone giant
Stone giants are very small.
in control of.
How much do you know about giants?
How much do
do we
I
know?
know about giants?
That's funny. Make a history check. Anybody who wants to know about giants.
Do I don't get my thing.
Definitely don't.
A 15.
Okay.
10.
Okay.
Wait, I'm close. Wait, hold on.
12.
16.
None of you know a tremendous amount about giants. Giants are not super common within Everest. So the only real species of giant that existed, and this is actually more folktale, nobody's actually confirmed that this is real. There were evidently, in a place that is known now as the Lifebringer Highlands, a group of giants that were known as the life giants, essentially. And they were a group of giants that worshipped Melora versus the other giants who worshipped the Allfather. And so there is no other native giants to Everest. So none of you are super familiar with their history, with what the Ord is, or what that might mean. I would say, Alina, you've heard from people who have hunted giants before that they do range across a number of sizes, and the hill giants are definitely like the least of them. Stone giants aren't that much higher up. Fire giants are, though.
Yeah, so like we, like I get that they're bigger. We fought a stone giant like really just not that long ago. It was like today. But yeah, so the fire giants, I understand them to be much larger than that. We can handle it.
I hope so. There are 14 of them, or at least when they took our home, that's how many there were.
And they took it obviously forcefully. Sorry about your father's passing.
They stormed the front gates.
Do you know what motivated them to leave their own home?
For a long time, I was just angry. And I thought, they're just giants. That's what they do. But there was one thing that one of them said. And the more I thought about it, the more I wasn't quite sure. They told me that they were sorry to pass their loss on to us. They told us to leave. They would bury us with our sorrow here. And we tried to fight back, but we lost a lot of people. If you think you can do this, if you can return our home to us, we'll give you whatever we can. You can have the prayer beads.
It's a lot to lose.
None of us speak giant. Do you know of a way that we can speak with them?
I have a spell.
I thought you said you didn't.
Yeah, but okay.
I thought you said you only had comprehend, which makes it.
Yeah, do you happen to
I can
know
work on it.
if they speak a more common tongue, or is it only...
That one spoke common.
Okay,
So
that's
there's
something.
at least one.
Okay.
But I can't guarantee that all of them will.
Yeah, that's to be fair.
And they're dangerous.
I'm sure we'll find a way to communicate with them. Alina makes a mental note to ask Hirsum if he can turn back time and allow her to pick a different spell at level 7. Just mental note.
Are you asking him that?
No, mental note to ask him later.
He just goes.
So yeah, I've just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
He just told us about the giant that said they were sorry to pass their loss on to the...
So at least one does, but I can't guarantee that there'll be more.
That's valid. That's fair.
Well, we only need one. And they we were kind of close to where they were, right? When we were in the Shadow Dark? Or I had a suspicion that we might be because of the smell of magma and stuff, right?
No. But I mean, if that's your suspicion, then sure. I can't tell you what to believe. I'm not gonna. This is America.
It's just that the volcanic activity note that I had is right before the Basari.
You have nothing that currently links those two things, but if you want to think that, you can. And there's nothing that has disproved that necessarily.
I don't think I want to do that though,
Okay.
given that I'm dumb.
So the fire giants are currently in your home, right?
Yes.
Is it a fortified location?
So Karutar Artraya it's a volcano. and we had built our city into the chambers that were left over. They're called lava tubes. But I don't know what's changed. It's been years.
Okay.
We had a front gate. They stormed it and destroyed it, so they would have had to build something back up. There is a ventilation system near the top. You would need to fly in. And here's some of this says, I do have a solution for that if it does come to it. And Basari kind of nods and looks a little bit skeptical at that, but then just says, aside from that, it's not a fortress, but it is a volcano.
Yes. Well, that's good to know that it was primarily the natural structure when you left. Okay. Okay, that's something to work with.
We'll do our best.
How
That came out a lot worse than it was meant.
He looks like he kind of seems uncertain more now.
Oh, Alina's charisma score is so high, but Hannah's charisma score is so low.
He turns to hear someone and he says, is there anybody else that we can add to this group? And here's some turns and he says, they really are more capable than they look. I promise. And Basari turns and they're like having this conversation directly in front of you, actually across the table. So like through you guys. But here's some turns and says, thank you for offering your help. And I assure you, Basari, they will succeed.
We definitely will.
We'll make you a prince again.
You can see there is definitely some pain that comes with those words, but he nods and he says, well, tell me when you're ready to go and I can let you know more about the actual place. But I'll take my leave for now. And he stands up, he takes like a couple pieces of cheese,
I think
and then he heads out the door.
before he leaves, Nigga's gonna be like, well, you don't need to be a prince to be a leader. Remember that.
I've been a leader for a long time.
Yes.
But thank you. And he turns and takes his cheese and leaves.
Fuck you, don't tell me what to do.
I don't know much about Genasi, but do Genasi feel kinship with the other Genasi?
What?
I forget. Are you a Genasi?
Yes.
Okay. Like,
You know,
How do the Eladrin feel about each other?
That's a bit insensitive, mate.
Alina's just happy to not be the racist one.
To note, Cheshire has been bored through this entire conversation and has taken to casing the room.
Okay.
Looking around, seeing what's in it.
Fair
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, and so, I mean, if you're looking around, you can make an investigation check, but this is a very clean room, very fancy. It's not the kind of place that, like, little coins and things are left, like, lying around. There are, like, little bits of silverware associated with the tray here, but aside from that, there's not a tremendous amount of stuff. There's a lot of culture that you can kind of absorb.
It's a 24 for what it's worth, but
Okay. With the 24, you get the sense that in the ceiling there is something that could drop down potentially. You see elements that work there, but in a space like this, you would guess that it's probably a lighting fixture of some kind versus like a hidden treasure chest in the ceiling that lowers on a chain. But you never know, you know?
but nothing else of note or interest worthy.
No, especially no.
Cheshire's bored.
so if we're going into a volcano, I'm assuming it's the way we want to go? Or do we want to go what sounds like splunking?
There's now an image of a volcano.
could you tell us more about that idea you had for that ventilation system?
Yes. I don't know specifically about the ventilation system itself, but if there is an aerial opening, have any of you ever read giant dragonflies?
Have I?
They go very fast, but as long as you can hang on, they're delightful.
Have I written a giant?
None of you have written a giant.
Okay.
If you have to ask, no.
I might have.
You can fly.
Have I?
Yeah.
That feels like something I might have done. Maybe
You've not. No, that's very much like a. There's not a lot of places that giant dragonflies that can bear the weight of a person are found.
If we were to do that, would we just fly
Wouldn't
them
that
from?
ruin the chance of
Is this
diplomacy?
like riding the eagles to Mordor?
A little bit, yeah.
How close do we need to get before we can start that ride? Is that like we can fly from here, or is that like we have to get close before we can have that?
We'll need to get a bit closer, but that's something that I can take care of very easily.
Okay.
I'll need to call in a favor to actually get the dragonflies themselves, and you will all need to do the actual bonding with these creatures. And they don't just fly, you will need to do the flying as well. But I'm sure that heroes such as yourselves could pick this up very quickly. You've ridden horses and things of that nature.
And you talk to turtles and that pelican?
Phallus talked to a turtle, so you will be fine.
I do have
Now, you could opt for the front gate as well. That seems like you may need more of like an army to take that approach, but if you seem to have a knack for fighting things, and so perhaps that is what you would wish to do
Now,
instead.
an image of an army storming a volcano.
I'm trying to be diplomatic about the whole thing. Wouldn't flying in from an unexpected entrance
Make
feel
a persuasion
bit,
check.
21.
You could slit their throats for all I care. I do not want fire giants in the Feywild. But if you prefer to be diplomatic and that is a more expedient route, then by all means.
She kind of implied that you would have preferred that when we first started this conversation.
Well, Basare is a little bit more light constitution than I am.
Well, if we're gonna go the diplomacy route, and I do think we should keep all options, open. I've heard that there's this spell that's a little bit better than comprehend languages. Maybe can you help me
Speak in
learn this spell?
tongues.
Yeah, I think it's called tongues.
That sounds like a patron issue.
Okay, but Sir Nunos is my patron, and you know him.
Yeah. I really shouldn't say anything. Alina, I think that you have been doing a great job. And if you continue on this path, there may be a chance to ask such a question in the future. In the much more immediate future.
Have you gotten
He
any?
very visibly does not make any more eye contact with you.
Have you gotten any more news from north? What's going on at the dome?
Suddenly a little success banner.
From the dome,
Right
from the dome
okay,
itself, there hasn't been too much directly emerging. There's been news out of the Magiocracy relating to the beetle train. There was dragonborn ships spotted to the north. There are a fresh wave of hostilities between the goblins and the grung over that giant rock. And then there is word that a new hag has taken up residence in the Witchwood. But nothing...
I imagine at this point, Billy's like, a hag.
That was a really good Billy. Damn, that was a great Billy. Here's someone just like, oh, Billy, I didn't see you there. Yes,
I'm here.
that's so good. Yes, there is a hag that is plaguing the people of Shalmarsh who has apparently taken up residence in the Witchwood. It is a purportedly hulking figure that appears at night to take people away. They've been calling her the Shalmarsh Shambler, although I do believe it to be an honest hag.
And Alina's just like, and Billy's like, Alina and Billy are gonna be like, what is this? And then, but
Yeah.
So you want us to go parley with the fire giants and then go to the Divine Court?
Again, I want you to deal with the fire giants, and however you can do that the fastest,
Right.
that is the best way. After that, we'll see where you sit in terms of your capabilities, but I do believe that you require a little bit more assistance. This has nothing to do with your...
He says you suck, Ori.
No, that is not explicitly what I'm saying.
He said we suck.
I mean,
implicitly.
speak for yourself, Alice. Speak for yourself.
Every creature has strengths and weaknesses. That is part of nature. In order to make up for some of those lacks of strength, there are things that we can do, such as getting these prayer beads. We'll see where we are after this. Perhaps we can go straight to the dome. Ultimately, if you believe that I am incorrect and you are strong enough, by all means, you can attempt to do so again.
So, do you know if anyone sells diamonds nearby?
Minka, I don't know if you saw where we are, but we're on a hillside in the Feywild. There is no marketplace nearby.
Okay.
What sort of diamonds are you looking for?
The kind that I can use to bring someone back to life should they die, unfortunately.
I'm not familiar with mines of that variety, but I'll see what I can do.
It's roughly 300 gold worth of diamonds.
I'll ask Ulvardark if he has any.
Okay. We do have money somewhere.
We got money.
Oh yeah. I think Cheshire has the party gold right now that we found in the keep.
I will say, money will not buy you a tremendous amount here. Ulvardark isn't especially interested. He's quite wealthy, to be frank, but if you have a good story to tell him, that is worth much more.
Have I got a story for him?
He tends to drink quite a bit of wine inadvertently throughout the day, as his root system does exist within the winery floors. As such, he doesn't make it very far from the winery these days. So any tale from afar would be most appreciated, I'm sure.
Okay. Also chalk.
That is very easy to get, yes.
We're gonna need a lot of it.
Very well.
If I recall, when we
You do, it's important.
when we started going to the dome, I think you said you were sending either yourself or another party to the Matriarchy to investigate the.
I was speaking to an associate about these items in order to locate them a bit more specifically. I'm still looking for a few things. There is a few things that I would love to find for you, but they've been gone for quite some time.
When we were in in Kielor Teleldal.
Yeah, that was good. That was
Are you okay, Ori?
We came across a few people. Have you heard of the Sad Man, Lady Carnata?
No. The Sad Man.
Well, this not the name of
That sounds like a circus performance.
Lady Carnata was in control of a few folks down in Kielor Teleldal.
Within the Shadowfell, there are many shadowy reflections of creatures such as myself. Perhaps one of them playing a trick on you. I'm not familiar with a Lady Carnata.
We killed her, it's fine.
Very good.
I think Billy has her head, actually.
It's really just like a succubus. Well, he looks at it and goes, I'm not familiar with this one.
She was
Well, no need anymore.
presumably behind what was happening at the Throne of Blood.
Or at the very least, profiting off it.
Profiting? In what way?
She just seemed really. She wanted to protect it, but we don't know if she created.
She mentioned something about coins.
Oh, right.
We would be coins for her collection. More specifically, the Soul Coin collection.
What can you tell us about soul coins?
It is the currency of the Shadowfell and some of the darker places. When some creatures die, and there hasn't really been a place found for them yet, there is a place where those souls wander. That is a currency there as well. They're not good things to interact with. I would advise against touching them, or even coming especially close to them if you can help it. They cling to you.
Is there a way, if we were to find them, to free them?
Unfortunately, I don't believe so. You can destroy them, and I think to some extent that may meet the needs that you're looking for. to do so is very challenging, and you need to be on one of the higher planes to do so.
So if we happen upon any, what would you suggest?
Leave them. There's no reason to touch them, and creatures that do really only befoul themselves. You should not trade in souls.
Can I do an insight check to see if Yearsome knows that we traded in souls?
Yeah.
18?
You haven't noticed them like staring at Billy, which would really probably, I mean, you've caught him doing that to a few people already so far about various things, and so he doesn't seem to linger on Billy at all. So it doesn't seem to be. But he says, it has a habit of clinging to people, and it's hard to return from something like that.
Right. So nothing you can do to help them?
You may be able to release them again, but the thing about currency is any kind of currency is controlled. And the Lectress takes very, very precise care to follow these pieces, and to get her attention would likely not be something that you wish to do.
Who?
The Lectress.
Who is the Lectress?
In this... He looks around, he takes like another like plate of cheese and bread and like pours another thing of wine.
Brought it up, my dude.
He just goes, well, this is like deep dive into lore that is not necessarily relating to this campaign, but he goes, the Lectress is the, you could call them the coin master of this system. They are the person that is in charge of imbuing the souls in the first place. They are the only person who is able to authenticate them, should the need arise. In a way similar to how hags can trace those that they have cursed, they are aware of these pieces in a very vivid way, and to interact with them attracts her attention. And once you have it, though she has no eyes, she always watches. It's quite disturbing, really. He's going to make an insight check at that. Very quiet.
All right, so I'm just gonna say. So we did find some.
Yes,
And
I'm
we do
beginning
have
to
a-
put this together.
And I don't
Currently
like the idea.
now.
Currently now.
That was a bad idea.
We did not know that.
So you will be returning to the Shadowfell, it seems.
Should we just toss them through the portal?
That's not how this
Wait,
works.
why do we need to return to the Shadowfell now?
Oh, it's not
Because
so much
Marie did
a
something
choice.
stupid.
Isn't
Like
my
on the way.
choice.
It was-
I'm not the one.
It was my suggestion. I didn't realize. I just didn't want to leave
We
them
did-
scattered on the floor. It seemed.
It's just those who interact with these coins find a way back to the Shadowfell almost always. And in your mind, Alina, you hear, hey, that sounds kind of like where I'm from. And Fearsome just kind of says, it's not something that you will do consciously, and you won't realize it until you're there, but that was a poor choice.
How do we
That seems.
cleanse ourselves of this?
You'll return them
Return them?
to the Lectress.
We can't
Okay.
just. Oh, okay.
Well,
That sounds like a.
is she going to be upset or happy
Something
because we got them from Lady Carnada, who seemed to be collecting them for something?
Well, if Lady Carnata, the succubus, was holding on to this throne in a portal between our material plane and the Shadowfell, it seems as if perhaps she may have been capturing souls and trading them with somebody to the Lectress.
Right.
That would mean that you cut off a revenue stream.
Well, not.
Probably not terribly happy, but on the flip side, you will be in front of her, and so that might make her happy. It's a matter of perspective. I would be very cautious. All the more urgency in getting yourselves a bit better equipped. Any other bad decisions that I should be aware of? I was beginning to be very pleased.
I found this. Is this bad? And I'm gonna show him the crossbow.
Wow.
Fucking dare take this crossbow away from him.
He just yeets it through. This is terrible. He looks at it and he goes, you're all just picking things up in the Shadowfell.
Well, it was again on Lady Carnata, who generally seemed to not be good, and so it
Hold it up, please, Ori. I'm not going to touch it. And he looks at it very carefully, and he says, "It appears to be okay, at least in terms of curses or things of that nature."
All right. Well, see, I brought it because I was worried that it would fall into the wrong hands. Same with the coins. So.
I actually believe that.
Well, it seems that was a good choice then. It's better than allowing it to fall into the wrong hands. Perhaps you can make use of it.
Okay. Well, that's something we're going to put in our pocket for later because we already have a volcano to look at today.
Today.
Speaking
Well,
Tomorrow at earliest.
I was going to suggest that you rest, but if you're ready to go already.
We would like to rest.
Well, we also need to get stuff like chalk.
Well, I can provide
Chalk.
again, Minka. Chalk is very minor to accomplish. I may even have some on my person right now, but we'll get you chalk.
He's not gonna hand it over. He's just like, I got some.
This is my good chalk.
That's more of being like literally everybody has chalk. Like he doesn't literally. He's being facetious. But yes.
Do you have anything that will help us right now, like on our next leg of our journey?
Anything you know about fire giants that may ingratiate us to them?
I also meant
Again.
items.
I appreciate your directness, Alina.
You know,
but
I've learned.
No, I have been looking for these to find. There are things that I could provide for you, but they will not provide any benefit beyond what you already have. This is really about finding things that can shift the balance in a very powerful battle.
I probably will need some bolts for this.
That can be done.
We might want to get more pickaxes.
anything, assuming if we're going against fire giants and going through a mountain, is there anything that can perhaps shield us from
Fire.
fire?
Or giants.
Giant fires.
I do have this shield of proof of giants and proof of fires. How silly of me not to have thought of that. Again, if I had something to give you, I would have handed it over already. You may ask Basari that. It is their home and they may have something to provide. I'll look around and see.
Move back to our adventures in the Shadowfell. The throne. I begin to like describe the throne and and talk about how there are strings and those seem to be memories, and one of them seemed to have been mine. And I hold out the string that Cheshire grabbed and handed to me.
He looks at it. He doesn't touch it, but he says that is a memory loom. That is a curious thing to find there.
It also seemed to have been the thing that was holding the portal to the Shadowfell at Kitaladar open, because once we removed enough strings, it seemed
Kirlor.
Kitaladar. It seemed like our way back was closed.
Very interesting. In and of itself, a memory loom is not designed to create a portal, but it does open up a pathway to planar thoughts. And so I could see maybe adjusting it in such a way, but I've never heard of that being done.
Could it cause people to be partially shadow people?
I suppose. That is quite surprising. So the memory loom itself is something that was created by an individual known as, give me just 1 second here, the cataloger. They're an individual, an archfey, such as myself, from the Feywild. You can find them in the Pensive Archive, although I do warn you, they are quite eccentric and, while not outright disturbing, visualizing thoughts in the manner in which they're grown can be disjointing for some.
Where's the Pensive Archive? Is that in the Emerald Spire?
It's within the Feywild. Along the Zader Plateau, if you make it to that region. But Second here. It's curious that you found that. The cataloger is not the kind of individual that would deal with somebody like the succubus.
You don't think someone else could replicate that?
While you are gone on whatever you decide to do next, I will go to the cataloger and find out what they know of this. But perhaps, and if so, that is disturbing, there have been times in recent history on Alboron where individuals have tried to contact beings best left tucked away. I prefer not to repeat that incident. Is there any other questions that you have before I retire for the evening? It is quite early in the morning.
So I believe this was a memory of mine, the string. Can I hand it to you to, I don't know.
I would prefer not to touch it if it was creating a portal to the Shadowfell, but what would you like me to do with it?
Well, on my path to get my memories back, it seemed like grabbing the string was a good idea to, I don't understand how this relates to my memory, but perhaps finding a way to return.
You can see he kind of kicks back in the chair a little bit and he goes, that is curious. Why was your memory there?
Oh, we found a couple of other individuals with awesome lock robes, and I suspect that there was an individual named Sermenti, another one who passed and we did not get his name, but they wore the awesome lock robes, and I suspect that the memories here might have been related to when the awesome lock banishes and takes people's memories.
It would be highly coincidental for there to be a string of Awesome Lock Scholar memories there, including your own, and have it not be related in that way. We will need to visit the Awesome Lock soon.
Could it be that someone within the Awesome Lock could be one of these members of this mysterious
fracturing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm beginning to wonder about that.
Yeah.
So...
especially as you all bring these points up at the same time, it may be that the fracturing is a little bit more expansive than we began to believe.
One last thing. On our way, as we started entering the Fields of Folly, I believe there was a burning cart of books that were also from the Awesome Lock, and that seemed out of place there.
I would say so. Did you get any of these books, or was there any other things left behind?
I found one, and I think I have one of the books. Did anyone else have any of the books?
I couldn't do anything to the wood.
Anyone take any of the books?
That is curious.
I tried to make a marker, and I couldn't.
Seems like whoever's
My trick won't work either, unfortunately. That is very curious. Do you have one of the books?
Yeah, I'm gonna hand it to you once I grab it from my pocket.
Just like
Oh,
shuffling.
right. I forgot I
through the
printed
roll.
out the book. Right.
Alina's gonna eye Cheshire. Can I make an insight check to see if I can figure out whether she took any of the books?
Yeah, make an insight check.
Dirty 20.
Okay, so you pass him over the book, which is The Fallen Scholars. And you can see he flips it over and flips through a couple of these pages, and he kind of you could hear him reading it and mumbling out loud, at the risk of glorifying such contemplative folk, da, 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 da. And he kind of reads through it, and he says, well, that is very interesting. So the archivist Lestrum, do you remember them?
No.
Much like you, they were asked to leave the Awesome Lock. They had radical ideas at the time. They had this book on them in that burning cart. Right.
This book was on that cart, and that was the remnants of what I could get from the book.
Could those awesome Lock scholars that you found have come with that cart? Did they have anything to do with the archivist Lestrum?
Well,
You said there was another one?
the cart was near the shore when we got off of the ship crossing the bay.
At the entrance to the Field of Folly. So it's...
And then
That may track.
the Osenlock members that we ran into were at kill or tell Eldar. And within the Shadowfell once we went underneath.
In a really big
So
cage.
whatever was there
In a cage.
was the
Did you
succubus
leave
had.
these individuals there?
They
Okay,
were.
so one guy definitely we tried.
That answer is yes. You were saying yes with many more words than just
One person passed away before we can get him out of the cage.
The other
Okay.
one
The other one was
disappeared.
the other one was still in Kirtaladar without memories, and he spoke to us as we entered, but we descended without him, and we got trapped in the Shadowfell and
It
could not
was
come back. So he
Awesome.
is
may
possibly
still be
still
there.
at the
You
tower.
can see he closes the book and goes, well, it seems like you may have left your answer behind in the Shadowfell.
Okay,
They
so-
may have been the person to bring back and...
Not in the Shadowfell. They.
No,
They're in
still-
the material plane.
Oh,
We got
in
trapped on the other
Kirtaladar.
side. Yeah.
but
When we
not
went-
in the Shadowfell.
so they're still on the material plane.
Yes.
As far as
As
we know.
far as
Last-
we know,
yes.
but they were being charmed by Lady Karnada, and we killed her, so presumably the charm
He was speaking in circles a lot and wouldn't come with us.
What time is it? Okay. Give me 10 hours. I'll go collect this individual. And he stands up and
His
takes a
name was
couple more pieces of
Cervantes.
cheese. I'm sorry.
Wait, I have a question.
His name was Cervantes.
Cervantes. Okay.
There were also some Duragar.
Yeah, while you're grabbing people, can we just...
Oh,
and so Alina's
sword.
just describe all the people that they came across.
And the sword.
Yeah, and there was a sword too. And if you're offering to go, I mean, you know.
Well, I'm sorry. So there was a sword.
Yeah, and Alina pulls out some parchment and starts like making a grocery, you know, a list.
Yeah.
I believe there were a trio of Duergar, led by Greymere,
Okay.
coming to.
It seems as if they are deep within the ground, and I intend to just.
Right. Yeah.
If this takes
Just
longer,
popping in and out.
I'm going to be very clear. If this takes longer than about 10 seconds, I'm not getting this gentleman.
No. It's more just letting you know that whatever force was trying to control them was trying to have them make this sword that was very deeply magical.
So much like the soul coins, I would recommend not touching that.
Well, we weren't gonna, but just that someone's trying to make cool weapons and stuff for unknown purposes connected to Shadowfell in the material
It may
plane.
be important to
But
find
you've
out.
severed that connection.
Right.
So
Yeah.
whoever was trying to make it cannot access it.
Hopefully.
Right, but by killing Lady
Well, it's for
Karnada,
Lady Kanata, and she can't access it. Because
right,
she's
but
dead.
she may have been working for
So
someone
I will go get
else.
this individual.
Yeah.
If you think this is important, I can get you most of the way back to pick it up yourselves. But I will go and get this person.
The person's probably more important.
Thanks.
Should a sword require the blood of a succubus to finish its forging? And that's bad news, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Valis, why?
He probably lost that memory.
You see, he's very flustered. He drops a piece of cheese. It's just like, you attended it.
Alina is really enjoying this, by the way.
Okay,
Or he's kind of like, am I not the dumb one now?
Just enjoying.
who else? Who were the other people that you're describing?
I think at this point, if he's offering to go back, Alina would just be like, okay, well, since you seem so concerned about all the things that we left behind, here's all the people that we met while we were in this fortress.
But I think. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all. That's what, you know, you asked. But if you're really just in and out, then, you know, you can describe Cervantes and...
That is what I will do.
I think he has a cloak. We gave him a cloak to keep him warm.
Yeah.
Give him
I
one more
will
blankets.
endeavor to bring your cloak back as well.
Oh no, it was more just an identifier.
It's just- yeah,
He's
give him.
wearing a cloak!
No, he's got my blanket.
Is there anything important? I am trying so hard to give you a nice rest.
That's about it.
At which time Cheshire stands up and goes to go to bed.
Okay.
Travel safe.
You can see Kirsten just follows Cheshire out of the room. He sighs. He exits and heads down the hall. Cheshire, you walk out. And he's trying that. He was really trying hard that
No,
time.
no, Alina is saying that out loud to the group.
I think we're also just like this.
I just like this. It's true.
So Cheshire, you make your way out into the
I'm
guest
very
suite.
familiar with that flustered look on people's faces.
One second here. Okay. So the guest suites themselves, a number of apartments that are kind of sitting apart from a single main chamber. Each one has two like queen size beds with canopies, and very much like the table, the posters of these beds are dryads that have their fingers interlaced into this actual, there are real leaves that grow down from the tops of these beds. And so it's a very nice, there are like little elements of soaps and things of that nature, although all clearly handmade. They smell delightful. They're definitely like fresh ingredients. This is very much like fresh botanicals. What are you opening over there?
The mochi.
The entire Lay's factory. But yeah, you can absolutely begin the process of resting if you want.
I want to take one of these sweets for myself and lock the door.
No problem.
Before she like goes to bed, Alina's gonna go see if she can try to honestly procure some chocolate. So like go find the tree guy, maybe just really anybody
Overdark.
who's working.
Okay, we'll get back to that. So you head over there, no problem. Anybody else doing anything before settling in for the evening?
I think I'm going to just go to Cheshire's door and knock on it.
Okay.
Just speak.
Cheshire, before we leave, can you do the story trading?
So if there's a bath in this room, Cheshire's 100% just like lounging.
Oh yeah, there's a bath. Absolutely. Each individual bedroom has its own little like ensuite bathroom.
Paying
So
attention at all.
yeah. You can hear like actual running water and nothing else.
Okay.
And you said it was early in the day or early in the evening?
At this moment, as Hearsome leaves, it is 12:45 a.m. on the 21st of Summertide, which is Saturday.
It is in the middle of the night. Okay, I'm going to go to bed.
Okay, no problem.
Honk you.
So you're going to bed. You're making your way over there. Ori, what are you doing?
I think I would probably just like, not like in a sneaky way or anything, but just kind of like, you know, explore. Yeah, like explore the vineyard a little bit
Okay, no problem. Vallis?
before settling in.
Go drink with the treant. What
Okay.
was his name? Or
Old Vardark. So the two of you are heading in that direction, and then you're just kind of, you can go in that direction. And just
Yeah,
kind
I'd
of
probably
wander off.
head like in the direction that Vallis is heading, and then just kind of like, you know, check the grounds, be in my thoughts.
No problem. So so everybody, you guys get to a point in the evening where you're like, all right, we're gonna go to the next bar, and half of you guys are like, we're gonna go home, and the other half is like, no, we're gonna keep going.
yeah.
And so you split up. Some of you go to bed. Some of you are heading on. Give me 1 second here.
I'm gonna go to bed. I just want to see if I can get chocolate for my dude.
Yeah,
Of
just talking about
course.
temporarily for right this moment.
Yeah.
So as you make your way down the hall, at first you can also hear a little bit of music. Give me just 1 second here.
Not stinky.
As you make your way in, you can hear there's a whole number of like voices that are kind of calling out. A whole mess of dryad have kind of entered this room. And as you make your way through, you can see people are like rolling barrels through the wine, and they're setting up like a makeshift circle. Somebody has dragged in a huge stone brazier, and they are beginning to like throw wood in there and make like an element of a fire. And people are kind of building this like little, almost like an indoor like campfire circle that is happening here. And the tree ant that is this olive tree is sort of in the middle of this entire happening that's going on. And because it is 8:45, we're gonna step away for a quick break before we pick back up with what is happening here.
I hate to interrupt a happening.
Yeah, it's a happening. There's definitely a happening going on. There's some happening stuff. So it is 8:46. We'll be back in 10 minutes at 8:56. See you then. Welcome back to Courts of Everest. Thank you for sticking with us through the break if you did. Welcome to our D&D game if you are just joining us. We're going to jump right back in. Ooh. Man, I like ran downstairs and now I gotta catch my breath a little.
We were playing with a kitten.
Yeah, we were. I had to run him back upstairs. So you can see this bonfire being built. There are many barrels that have been like rolled up. There's a number of dryads that have all gathered around. And as you approach, you can hear one of the dryads just say, "Tell the story of the life giants." And another one just goes, "Oh, or about the apple core, hero of the apple treants." And then another one just goes, "Hey, how about the fall of the Guild of Valor?" And it's just people yelling and asking for different stories. It was about the Alphas. And Overdog is just like, "Oh, one at a time, one at a time. We'll have time for everyone." And you can see like 3 of the branches have like little bits of cheese in them, and like every now and then it like disappears. But what are you all doing?
Well, I'm not going to interrupt the happening. I literally just wanted to go like see if I could grab like a waiter or something to ask about chocolate. Are there any like people around who look like they would know about chocolate?
There's about 24 dryads that are in here, and so you could ask any one of them if you want.
Well, yeah, but like anyone who's not like actively participating in the happening.
Make an insight check.
I'd probably
I
just
just want to be
and
unobtrusive.
start listening to the story.
21. You look around and this seems to be almost like, okay, this is like a winery. Nobody's working right now. This is like, okay, we've finished work. We're all hanging out and like telling stories. And you look down at the tree and like their roots are all still very much in the wine. Now some of the dryads have wine as well. And this is like, you know, the shift drink after work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Alina's going to be like, "All right, we'll deal with it tomorrow. Okay, buddy. I'm tired. Let's go to bed."
But there's somewhere nearby. I swear, it's really close. What if, just hear me out. What if you go to bed and you go to sleep, right? Honk shoe. And then I just happen to get up and like, you know, I'm looking around for a little snack. Oh, look, chocolate. And it's there. And then you're asleep. You don't know.
But I don't want you to like gorge yourself and like, because then you'll probably get in trouble, you know?
Somewhere in the back of his mind, Cheshire just says, "Do it."
I mean, I don't.
Like,
Okay, fine. We'll ask someone. Okay, we'll ask someone.
Okay,
And Alina like taps on the shoulder of the branch or whatever of the
Okay.
nearest dryad.
Yeah, and they turn around and they just go, "Oh, hello."
Hi. I was wondering if you know where I could get some chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes. Just a little piece. We don't have very much, and it's for cooking, so it's very bitter.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. She turns and you hear, "Whoa, I don't know if it's okay. Can you just see if maybe they can bring a little sugar and maybe like a little cream also, and maybe a jar, and if you shake it up really, really strong, maybe you'll get a little bit more like."
One thing at a time, buddy. One thing at a time.
But she's going away, and you can see she's like walking away, and he goes, "Ah. We should just ask all at once, and then they can get everything, and it's less rude."
It's true.
Okay,
All of
well,
a
I guess
sudden,
we're waiting
when it
now.
comes to like
nice
chocolate,
coffee?
impeccable manners, and he knows all of the traditions. But it seems like this is like the razor sharp focus that he can get.
Yeah.
But before too long, she comes back and she hands you a small piece of what is essentially baker's chocolate. Incredibly, incredibly bitter, but very much like real quality chocolate.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, and you can help yourself to any of the wines that you wish. And if you have a story to tell, you're of course welcome to. But Ulvardark tells most of the stories.
Okay.
Turns and just like takes her glass of wine and begins to drink.
I'm gonna hand Rez the piece of bitter chocolate just to see what happens.
Okay. He takes it and he just goes, "Oh man, this is like just don't look at me." He's like eating it, but you can hear it just every now and then. He's just eating it. He finishes it, but like it takes him much longer this time.
Choices were made, bud.
I'm not proud of myself, okay?
Okay. Love you. I think I'm just gonna go to bed now.
Okay.
Feel weird. But
No worries. You just turn around and go to bed with a very sad Rez.
yeah.
For the two of you, what are you doing?
Pat.
I'm sidling up to this like storytelling circle
Okay.
and listening in.
Yes, saddling up, drinking, listening to some stories, and I'll offer one of my own.
No problem. Make perception checks, the two of you. What you do notice right away is as you pull up. Okay. Ulvardark immediately just goes, "Oh, we have visitors today.
14.
Perhaps you have stories that you can bring. I've told mine many times." And for you, Ori, as they say that, you're kind of like leaning to the side because you see two dryads who are kind of whispering. They seem to exchange things between hands and then just slip out the front door.
Okay. Sure, but I'm gonna go grab a drink first. Maybe my friend can tell a story. I'll be back.
Of course. And you, we were told your names, but I have bad eyesight. Ori, Valis.
That one's Ori. I am Valage Birchbillow.
Valis Birchbillow, a fine name. Please, tell us a story. And you can see the dryads like shift aside. There's like a barrel opened up for you, and somebody puts a cup of like just this gold-colored wine into your hand.
What kind of stories do you like to tell in this circle?
And all of a sudden, like 8 voices pipe up, and you can just hear, "I like scary things." And somebody says, "It has to have romance." And somebody says, "Ew, romance is gross." And just like all different things are like interjected at once. But in general, it seems to be things that are of a either fairy tale or like mighty adventurer kind of thing land well here. Ori, you slip away to grab some wine.
I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna slip off and follow the dryads to see what they're up to.
Okay, so you make your way outside.
But I am planning on trying to get back before Valis's story finishes.
Okay, no problem.
Because I don't want to be rude.
What story are you telling?
I am telling the story of the Wandering Hearts, the quelling of Tarkana Lake.
Okay. Make a general, make a performance check, and hold on to whatever you roll. Just keep that for a second. Or you walk outside. Just 1 second here. Boom.
Alina has +8 to performance, but she went to bed.
You guys typically will do this. We're like, okay, we're going to negotiate. Let's send Minka. Oh, there's a plant that's in need of help. Should we send Valis who can speak to plants, or should we send Ori?
But, very good at this.
What's wrong, Weed?
I mean, it's
Or
story.
you
It's not like
slide out into the night air. It's a
Play
little
D&D
cooler.
perfectly.
In front of you, there is just this beautiful valley, and below you, just terrace after terrace of these little grapes and everything. But these two dryads, they slip around the building and seem to head off towards the back of what looks like a large, almost like a barn if it wasn't for the tile roof. There is the slight smell of charred wood, although they are not going within, they are going behind.
I'm gonna sneak along to try and see what they're up to.
Yeah.
Another natural 20.
Damn, you are the knight. And as you blend into the shadows, you make your way through and you take a wide berth. And as you do, you approach not from the direction that they do. You walk along this long tower that you would imagine is the room that you were just with inside.
Okay.
You walk around the outside of the building and around. And so you catch a wide sight of what's happening before you even get close. Behind this large barn, there are a number of barrels that have been lined up to form a rough semicircle. Although as your eyes adjust, you can see there's more elements to it that have been built up to make elevations and kind of dips. And you can see at this moment there's a number of dryads who are all gathered around holding various bits of grapes, some little glowing items, and various trinkets that seem to be in their hands. And they all seem to be a little bit excited, and all of a sudden there's like a hush, and like they all kind of like tap each other on the shoulders and they turn. And as you peer through the darkness, you can see a number of little figures, tiny little fingers, the little bits of branches aside, and you see a little raccoon poke their face through, and then another and another, and you can see, just like any raccoon, these little black eye patches. But unlike regular raccoons, you can see just the tips of the ears seem to be just a little elongated to show the classic fey patterning. And unlike other raccoons that have just this normal kind of dark shape, you can see like little elaborate patterns that come off, and in places where normal raccoons might have a tinge of red, they have lilac or green or blue. Make a nature check, Ori.
Can I get my thing?
Yes, in fact.
Hey.
We got it.
Oh, it doesn't matter because it was a
20s, it gives and takes. Okay. What was the total?
5.
These are some raccoons.
Cool.
You can see slowly the dryads begin to approach these raccoons, and it's almost like these are two parallel groups. It's like almost like a high school dance. You see the two groups like talking, and then slowly they kind of get closer, and then talking.
So are they trying to like make some sort of dryad bond or something? Is that
Make an insight check. Actually, no, I think that's more of a nature check, and you just made one. Hard to tell.
Do I see the two that I saw like handing things off? Like what are those two doing?
So you stand and wait, and you watch as the first one approaches
Lean up against
the two groups get closer and closer
happen.
until one of them gets close to a raccoon who is probably the largest. You can see the tail is mostly gray. There's no black stripes on this. They're like the largest raccoon. And this dryad gets really close, and you can see they take out a single grape from a pouch and they pass it gently to this raccoon. There's like a moment of like, it's not quite tension. It's a little bit like giddiness more. Mm-hmm. And then the raccoon eats the grapes, and you see for a brief moment the tail pulses with light, and then the dryad and the raccoon seem to like become much closer, almost in a way like Rez and Alina, and then they go off towards the barrels. And you see this happen again and again, and it's like they're pairing off. And you notice that the raccoons are kind of lining up at one end of this, what you're recognizing is probably a track of some kind. And all at once, Ori, it hits you. This is raccoon racing.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm going down.
They're betting on it.
I'm making my way down.
Okay.
To be like, oh, what's going on here?
Are you getting anybody else, or are you just enjoying this event for yourself?
I think I'll enjoy this for a quick moment. I mean, Valis is the only one still awake, right? And he's telling his story, so I'm gonna
look over, and Valis is like, "The fish was gigantic." And what was your roll?
Natural 1.
The fish was as big as a giant fish. And you look over and you can see people are like looking over at the olive tree who's like politely nodding, but every now and then like,
and then the seagulls said,
and like a couple olives fish. And like, yeah, there's a lot of focus on the seagull actually, but you're just like, I'll let Valis have his time. And you walk over to this. At first, you can see the dryads of the raccoon. There's like a brief hesitation, and like everybody stops like they've been caught.
What's going on here?
They all kind of like look back and forth, and then one of them approaches you, and they just say, "Do you have anything to bet? We're racing raccoons. These are Gen raccoons. They're fast."
What do you usually bet? I mean, I've got some stuff. What are we offering up?
We have a few different magical items. If you have anything like that, if you have anything that is especially rare from wines that we don't grow, we would appreciate those as well. Have you ever raced Gen raccoons before?
Can't say I have.
Well, you need to bond with a raccoon first, and there's only a few left.
Well,
if they don't accept you, you can't race to begin with.
I suppose I should try that first then, huh?
Which one calls to you? And she turns, and like there's like 4 raccoons now that have lined up, and these are the last raccoons to be picked for this. So you can see one of them, sleek, mint green coloration, spots down their back. You see another one that's a little stiffer than usual. They move with a bit of a limp, orange coloration. You see one that seems very clean, faint green coloration, but like clean to the point where you imagine they probably will pick their way through very carefully. And then you see one that is incredibly scruffy with curly hair, faintly red markings. They move, they're very muscular, and so they move with kind of like an off gait. But those are the 4 that are left.
All right. I'll take the one that you said well, actually, let me see which one looks like the best.
With your previous nature check, they all look even the one with the limp, they all look equal.
All right, I'm going with
Limps can be beneficial.
Muscle Man, the 4th one.
Okay. So you go up, make an animal handling check.
All right.
The dryad pushes a couple grapes into your hand.
Oh, okay. So
and says,
they're giving me
you should offer one. These, they should do, but just...
All right. Well,
they can bite if they don't like you. Just be careful.
I'm gonna be like, do they like? Have you ever given them chocolate?
No.
Like chocolate?
Why would you give them chocolate?
I don't know. Do raccoons like chocolate?
I don't think so. Just give them grapes.
How dare you? How very dare you?
She does say, once the race starts, if you know any spells, you can help your raccoon. We are going to.
Right.
None of us are, I mean, I don't think any of us can cast anything especially powerful. Azola, can you? And then she kind of turns and says, I can make the whirlwind, but that's about it. And they all kind of like talk a little bit, but you're getting the sense that all of them at least are a little bit magic.
Just to be clear, you're not getting me, right? Okay.
I wish I had, though.
Listen, Valis didn't get Cheshire to tell a
but
story, or
you get a 22 for animal handling.
Okay.
We're not good
No,
at this game.
So you get close.
I didn't think I could get Chester to tell the story.
And you get close and you take this grape and you get close to this creature. It gets a little closer to you, this big raccoon. You see the raccoon with the limp kind of deflates a little bit like they were hoping to get picked. But this big raccoon walks up, they take this like grape, they look at you, and you see this raccoon is evaluating you. In like the Harry Potter series, there's this like
the
dance with
thing or
this. It's
whatever?
not this. He's just going, I don't know about this dude. It's very much like a directly like, okay. And he like tucks the grape away and gets a little bit closer to you, and all at once you feel a kinship with this creature.
Cool.
You imagine that with just the guide of your thoughts, you can probably help him do more or less what you want. And then if you have spells that you can use to help, you can use those also.
Cool.
So you can see this person turns down, and to their raccoon they go, what? Oh. They turn to you and say, that raccoon's name is Bugbear.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you for meeting up with me, Bugbear.
Bugbear just kind of goes,
Do you like chocolate?
toddles over, looks over at you. They don't seem to speak your language.
I'm gonna like take a little piece out and be like, what? Mm-hmm.
Takes it in their tiny little hands and just throws it on the ground.
Oh, sorry.
Where you are, like all the way back in your room, you're like getting ready for bed, and you just feel Alina. Never mind.
Pick
Did
it up,
you feel
put
a
it
great
away.
disturbance in the forest?
But it doesn't seem to like it.
Sorry about that. I'm gonna try to figure out what I can give him that he'll like, but in the meantime, I'll.
Yeah, so he goes over and gets ready and gets in the line with the rest of the raccoons. And before too long, they're all lined up, and you can see they're ready. Azola turns to you and just says, "Are you ready? We can. I'm sorry. We can all kind of communicate without talking."
Sorry. I guess. Do you need me to bet something? Because I honestly don't know
yes.
if I've got much chance here now. But guess I give you. I've got.
Well, I'm going to bet this, for example. And she pulls out this small, like tattered looking, it's like a clay jar that is wrapped in some kind of cloth, and it's certainly magical. The cork that is like holding it shut seems to be made of a variety of different materials, almost like facets of a pie that come off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing especially fancy, but something like this.
I mean, I've kind of been off adventuring for a bit. Don't have too much of value. Most of what I have is pretty grim.
Well, if you've been adventuring, surely you found something magical.
Don't you dare bet
Well,
crossbow.
nothing special. I've got some poisons I've picked up.
Because you're all throughout, everybody just kind of goes, and like even the raccoon was like, just like turns.
Yeah, I've been in the Underdark for quite a while, so I haven't gotten much.
Oh, well, maybe you
Good.
could watch.
I don't want to make Bugbear feel upset for not being. Maybe I'll just. I've got.
You can see the dryad looks very intently at Bugbear for a second, and Bugbear looks up, and you can tell there's communication, and then Bugbear looks uncertainly at you, and then just goes. And then the dryad just goes, "Well, you really should have thought about that before you got his hopes up."
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Bugbear. I've got this healer's kit, some daggers. I've got gold, but I know that's not much.
I'm sorry. We just thought that because you are an adventurer, there might be something that you would
I've
be able
got
to.
this chocolate. If that's it's very good chocolate.
I think we make that here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where did you find that?
actually, it was at the Emerald Spire.
And like they turn and you can see there's like a bunch of smiles, and then like they're all talking, although you can't hear it. And then she turns and just goes, "I can't believe that it's made it that far in the material plane."
It's very popular there.
Make a deception check.
Deception?
Yes. You just picked this.
chocolate here?
He said it's very popular there.
No, I know, but joke. Okay.
This chocolate seems to be similar to another chocolate that they make, and
dirty 20.
With a dirty okay. Well, that's so good to hear. Olvidark will be very happy. We'll tell him.
So, does this satisfy the bed?
No. It's okay. You can watch. It's still very fun.
Alright, can we at least let Bugbear race for the joy of it?
Make a persuasion check.
Sorry, buddy, that's an 11.
It's taken a long time to sort of train them to be able to do this, and if we just let them race without any of the rewards associated, we can break that training. So he'll watch, and for what it's worth, I think that they share when they return to the Gen Forest. I think the winner just takes most of it, so, I'm sure he'll get something.
Alright, well, that makes me feel a little better, but alright.
You can see she looks over and Bugbear just goes, and she looks, and Bugbear looks up at you, and you see the ears go down, the shoulders sag, the curly hair kind of straightens up.
Look around to see, are there any like particularly nice looking grapes that I can kind of gather for him so that he has like some snacks to watch with?
You still have a few grapes in your hand, so you try to give them to him, but he doesn't accept them.
Oh, I feel bad.
He just looks real sad and kind of slumps off.
There's nothing I can give him?
Doesn't seem to be.
So when I'm done telling my story, I'll go out and try to find him, and just let me know when I kind of pop up.
Make a survival check.
Alright.
So Ori, already you were like, I'm gonna go back for Valis. You've missed the whole story. And Valis like, this is the end. And everybody, you hear one person just go, tell the one, and then they all start talking to Older. He's like, okay, settle down. And he starts telling a story and you leave.
5.
And you start wandering for a bit. You start wandering down. You're like, you know what? Ori probably went down towards the valley, and so you head in the polar opposite direction of Ori. Ori, this raccoon is very sad.
Oh man, I think at that point I'd be like, all right, I'll be back. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna go look for Valis. Be like, he's probably done with his story now. Okay. He can talk to animals. Maybe he can make things right.
Zola stops and goes, just, we're about to start. So how long?
My friend speaks with animals. He's probably better at this. I feel really bad about Bugbear
now. This seems more like it's a you and a Bugbear thing. We're gonna start.
All right. Well,
but we'll do another couple of races, and if you can find something in the meantime,
all right.
Welcome to join.
I'll go find my friend for the next race.
Okay.
All right. I'll be back, Bugbear.
As you turn and you leave, you can see they all turn and they all nod, and all of a sudden, each raccoon in turn, the colors just light up, and it's almost like neon lights. And each of them is slightly different when these backlights happen. You can see some of them have more elaborate mask-looking things that has coloration from underneath. Some of them, the stripes on their tails just light up, alternating. Each one has different racing stripes essentially. And as you walk off, there's sparks. You see one of them leaps into the air. One of them turns into a pigeon. There's magic happening over here. And there's just cheering. And you were walking over I gotta find Valis. And you look over and Bugbear is just sad. All this is happening. There's confetti from somewhere. Bugbear is just sad. For what it's worth.
Into a bugbear.
Maybe.
You don't know. So, Valis, 20 minutes go by and you're wandering around. You're lower and lower. And there's a point where you do see several woodland creatures that are walking around. So, you can ask them for directions if you want. But there is probably about 20 minutes later, or you see Valis, Valis, 60 or 70 feet down the hill.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking to an animal when you find me. Asking for directions.
Valis, how did you get... So you show up and there's just a tiny little dove that is sitting on the chalice. And if you are using speak to animals, it's just kind of I haven't really seen an elf around recently, but about 3 weeks ago there was one here. Valis. Oh, there's one over there.
Oh.
How did you get? You see Valis is talking to the bird. The bird just points away towards you.
Oh, hey, I was looking for you.
vineyards all the way back. There's.
I've never been here before.
How'd your story go?
It did not go well.
I found something that.
I'm sorry. Do you still need me?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Were you?
I was asking for directions.
Oh. I found a raccoon race. I thought you might be interested. I kind of fucked up though, and
What do you mean?
the raccoon's name is Bugbear. I didn't have anything to bet because Cheshire stole all of my stuff. But I really want to make it right because I really upset Bugbear, and I thought you could maybe go talk to him and maybe get him into the next race.
Okay.
All right, so it's behind the barn. And
Wait, you mean like it sounds like the problem is that we need something to bet.
well, yeah, but also to apologize for me on behalf of myself to Bugbear for kind of getting his hopes up.
Sure.
And also, yeah, but if you have something to bet, we could go for the race.
brain cell right now.
There's a time where you guys were transing and you came out and had you merged. Bro. Let's go race raccoons. So the two of you head off up the hill towards this raccoon race. No problem.
Well, I'm gonna send Valis off there, but then I'm gonna go back because I don't want to make.
I will say for all of you, for what it is worth, with Valis's incredibly boring story, it gets so quiet at certain points that you do hear a few cheers and things happening out in the courtyard. And so if any of you do get up and kind of peek out the window, you can see just glowing lights. You don't see the raccoons from this angle, but you just see like lights just going by, cast off on the side of the barn.
You're welcome.
And so you definitely see that there's something going on. And so, yeah, interestingly enough, I guess that did help.
How long are they gonna?
This,
How long are they
Does
gonna?
Red still seem a little
I don't know. They
upset?
said they were gonna do a couple races,
No,
but
it seemed like maybe probably not the best chocolate.
Do you think the others would wanna?
I don't know. They're
Race?
asleep, but I don't have anything to bet.
What time is it?
Probably like, I mean, you don't have a clock, but it's still dark, like early
It's early
morning.
dark.
Early morning to
like-
the point where people are like, it's actually nighttime. But yeah,
Probably like
it's early.
2 or so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that early.
2 a.m.
All right, gotcha.
So I don't know. Do you have anything to bet?
I might have something. I don't know if they'll take
They're looking
it.
for magic items and stuff.
Okay.
Uh,
Magic items.
trinkets. There's one was like a nice little bottle of something, a little vial.
Okay.
It's a nice cork.
So I guess I'll follow him and I'll go up to the which dryer were you speaking with?
The one over there.
I heard
That's Bugbear.
Oh, hi, Bugbear.
And you can see this
And he
little
understands
raccoon
me.
just goes and just kind of, hi,
Hi.
Tell him I'm
Hi.
sorry.
My friend Ori, he says he's sorry
But-
that he couldn't get you into the first race, but we'll try to get you into the next race.
okay. Do you have berries?
Do you have berries? He asked if we have berries.
I think I actually do have some of those like extra juicy berries.
So Minka's gooder berries only last for 24 hours.
Not the gooder berries. Wasn't there at the meadery?
Oh, you're talking about some boinkenberries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got some berries.
you do. Yes, they're 15 days old at this point, but you do have them.
Oh,
Like they're probably a little
15 days old.
A little jammy.
overripe.
well,
Yeah.
Stacey likes them. I don't know.
Ask him if he wants. Tell him they're pretty old.
I'll tell him that they're not fresh, but they are from around here. So.
Boinkenberries.
This little like curly-haired raccoon just kind of wanders over and just sniffs it, and then the little tongue just, and he just turns and goes, "This will do just fine."
All right, he'll take it.
Just
They're all yours, buddy.
flicks it up. Can you make a Constitution saving throw, please?
No.
For the raccoon.
Oh, because they're fermented.
That's even worse.
Nah, he's probably gonna get drunk as fuck. Come on. Ooh, let's go. 18.
So he finishes just eating this like little berry paste, essentially.
Puts him right in the fucking slot. He's ready to go.
This is a 22-year-old who like has convinced themselves they're only good at beer pong when they're drunk, man. And so he is in the zone.
I'll talk to the dryad and I want to offer up a piece of candy from the Emerald Spire.
Okay.
It's the magic one.
Absolutely, yes. So you pass over this piece of enchanted candy to this dryad, and they go, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this before." Absolutely, please. Thank you for joining. What's your name?
Phallus.
Phallus. And what's your name?
I'm Ori.
Ori.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this bet is probably only good for one
Yeah.
participant.
But we're
All
gonna win, so we'll get them all.
right.
So
Right, Bugbear?
and Bugbear just kind of goes and like nods, but they line up, and you can see they walk up. Ori, as far as you're concerned, they walk up with the swagger. They're a little drunk.
As soon as the race starts, I cast Bolt.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah.
You can also use magic to help them out if you got anything.
Okay. I think only thing I have right now that might help is possibly a bless spell.
So Azula says, "Are you ready?"
I cast bless. Yeah, we're
What's
ready.
So bless on you and the raccoon.
Before,
The raccoon
are there
and me.
any rules we should be aware of, like no interfering others?
You're
or-
not allowed to hurt the raccoons.
That
They can shove
seems
each
like
other
it
though.
can go without saying, but all right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Set. And as you just said, all of a sudden, all the raccoons
I'm like,
boom, get down, and the lights,
all right, Bugbear,
just blare out.
This is your time to shine. You got this.
For
You're the
Bugbear, you can
you're
see
fast as lightning,
The
man.
mask that they wear suddenly just becomes like iridescent scales of red that are like blazing. It's almost like they have like scales or like feathers patterned into their mask. But they bend down, everybody gets ready, and then Azula says, "Go!" And they just
Run!
And they take off. You can see one of them shoves one of the others. Another one, all of their like mint green dots just dazzle, very similarly to Cheshire's hypnotic pattern. There's all kinds of things that happen. So for you, what are you doing to help your raccoon? There's a lot of silence there.
You mean like I already cast bless, so I guess I'm focusing on that.
Yep, okay, so no
And-
problem. So you cast Bless, so you're using reactionary magic to really kind of help if something is going to happen or to make an ability check, really.
Well, it's the only spell I have, so other than concentrating on that,
Okay.
and I'll just
We were like wise.
So
vice
Bugbear-
just kind of
racing.
like I guess think about the raccoon. And,
Make an athletics check, add 3 to that check, and then for you, you concentrate this bless spell on this raccoon, like focusing any kind of willpower or knowledge that you might be able to impart from a distance to this raccoon. He begins to glow ever so slightly.
Am I making the
Yes, you
athletics
are.
checks? Oh, okay. Is it with my Okay, so it's just flat.
You're adding 3.
Oh, okay. Ooh, dirty 20.
Hey, very nice.
Ooh.
So this raccoon literally glowing. He like bends down. All the other raccoons start running, and there's like a moment where
You're
he's
a
like
fucking
still there.
dynamo.
He like doesn't start, and then like the ground behind him bends, and he just takes off. It's just like this like anime speed burst, and he just goes straight through. You watch as he knocks over another raccoon. They almost, when they glow, have this double cat eye like mask, and they're like floored to the
Right
side.
time.
They burst through, and you can see another raccoon that looks a little sleepy, that just gets a little bit brighter as they race, gets like knocked to the other side. They're like raccoons flying up, and I think anybody now who like peeks out at this time, not only do you see the lights, but you see one tail like up, and like there is just chaos happening here. For the first leg, your raccoon pulls well into the lead, and as they round this first turn, there is like a hurdle that they need to jump. The first raccoon is yours, so make another athletics check for Bugbear
Should I be adding the bless too?
if you want to.
I mean, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because you can just keep casting it, right?
I mean,
It's an effect that sits for however long.
Yeah,
for a
so
minute.
fucking, yeah. I mean,
and I'll cast it again if it runs out.
No, it's not gonna take a minute. This is like
Okay. Okay.
this is 2 rounds. You're hitting there and back. So yeah.
Ooh, is that cocked? Yeah, it's cocked. That's a 10 plus a 1
Oh.
plus a 3.
14.
14.
Ooh, okay.
Run,
Runs and runs, and he leaps over this log and like lands in the dirt and kind of skitters. And there is one raccoon that right at this moment, you haven't really seen them do very much. There's this raccoon that was moving a little bit stiffer than normal. They plow through the wood in such a way that they tumble, but the wood shatters onto your Bugbear and kind of causes him to lose his footing for just a second. And he regains, but not before the yellow and white glowing Bugbear just blows straight by him to take first. Bugbear takes second. and then more raccoons kind of swoop in. One kind of like limps past because they take a little bit of a ding in that race. Bugbear like brute force past them, but in the end you take second place. And Azola like bashfully kind of takes the candy and almost puts it back in your hand before saying, "Well, do you want to trade instead? I've never had this before, and you could take my flask." And they kind of offer out this clay.
Is it the same one that she'd showed before?
Yes.
Sure.
What is it?
You don't know.
Well, I'm asking what
I mean, I'll just take it.
So you can remove the candy from your inventory, and in your place, you can add. She says, "This is an item where if you turn the cork, it can dispense different fluids." People have called this an alchemist jug before, but I'm not sure why, because it's not really a jug. There are no like tons of little corks like you would see on most. It's more of like, you know, Howl's Moving Castle, the door dial.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that at the top, and you can see like tiny, like minute little symbols that show what looks like a flask of oil, what looks like a little bit of water, and like all different symbols that you imagine when you attune to it, you will understand what those symbols mean.
That's pretty neat.
One of them is Mayonnaise.
Are there any more races or?
And so they're kind of like, yeah. And so because this is just the two of you doing it, over the course of the night, you spend some time doing some raccoon races. You don't lose anything, but you kind of cap out at around second place. Bugbear is like a little tired after that burst of speed, falls back to third, kind of sticks around that area. But by the end of the night, you've made some friends. You've made friends with Azola, who is one of these dryads. There is a dryad that you had referred to as Eucalyphia previously, and they're there as well. And there is a final dryad that you meet named Nazayaka, who is the one who owns the winning, or has made the partnership with the winning raccoon.
What was the big prize?
There's a number of different things, and so you can see Nazayaka at the end seems to have a small pinkish gem that seems to be able to float on its own accord. Seems to have a sliver of willow that has been crafted into some kind of wand. There's a number of small little bottles that are filled with shimmering liquids of different kinds. A number of small trinkets that put together form a small trove. Nice. But you got your item back. Second place.
Nice.
So, no worries. You guys eventually make it back, and all of you successfully complete a long rest. The dawn rises on the 22nd of Summertide. What would you all like to do? You wake up in your various apartments and can make your way eventually to the common room that you all share. There's been a small tray of little like breakfast breads that have been put out for all of you. There have been more soaps and things that have been left behind to use in the bathtubs. And yeah, that is what you have immediately available to you. You can hear the sound of like voices and like work already having begun for the day.
It was so nice to sleep in a bed.
And they are quite comfortable beds.
I could stay here for a while.
So I guess we should find Basare and head off.
Well, I would really like to get diamonds before we leave in case anyone dies.
I tried to tell a story, but I am not the storyteller of the group, and it did not go well.
Wait, you tried to tell a story?
At this, there is like a sudden knock at the door, and you can hear, "Are you all decent?"
Yes.
As decent as will be.
Like how Alina checked, was like, "Am I?" Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, did I put pants on?
Wait, I didn't wear pants. Really spoken by somebody who goes out drinking a lot. So, am I close? The door opens up and you can see here someone who is bringing with them a small bag and another slightly larger bag on one shoulder. But immediately they take the small bag and they go, "Minka, I got chalk. Several colors." And they put it in your hand, the small bag. And you can see there's like little bits of 4 or 5 different colors of chalk. There were a few other things. And they take this bag and like slide it over. I always recommend that people take more rope, just in case they need it. You never know when you will need more. So you, in general, I'm going to tell you what's in this bag, and you can divvy it up however you want. There's 100 feet of rope. Or you had asked for something.
Crossbow bolts.
There are 30 light crossbow bolts. And actually, sorry, I didn't print this item out. It is a light crossbow, as it turns out. This is a sleek crossbow. The limb barrel and riser are all formed from dark red crimson steel that reflects firelight when you see it with a dazzling ruby hue. The body and stock of the weapon are polished blood red Osagi wood that is laid with rivets of brass that calls to mind elements of the armor that Fire Genasi all the way back in the Valley of the Fireflies had worn. This is definitely from the elemental plane of fire, this metal. This is a weapon that gives you a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. The Ruby Crescendo has 3 charges, and when a creature is hit by an attack, you can expel a charge to have it deal an additional d8. Each successive attack, when you expend a charge, will deal an additional d8, to the point where after the 3rd attack in a row that hits, they will all be dealing +3 d8.
Ooh.
And you remember that mark that was like burning on Billy? Probably what that effect was.
Okay. Cool.
It was a dice.
I'll try to remember that.
I'll print it out.
Do the charges reset?
At the end of a long rest.
Cool.
Or if you score a critical hit.
Ooh.
Yes.
Like fully?
Yes.
Ooh. I like this item.
It's the Ruby Crescendo.
Nice.
And it is a rare item.
Cool.
What kind of rope is it?
It is just hempen rope.
Regular ass.
I grabbed some regular ass rope.
I believe there was one more thing. I was unable to find diamonds for you. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
If we are going to go into the Feywild after the fire giants, the individual that I'm going to bring you to meet for these dragonflies may have some.
Okay. That's something.
Do you all have you speak to animals? If you come across a particularly interesting animal in your trip, I would recommend seeing if you could invite it along. This is somebody who would enjoy seeing odd things.
All right.
Wait, I think I missed something. If we...
Again, gold not terribly useful in the Feywild, but experiences terribly more so. So if you can bring this person an animal that they haven't seen before, they will probably part with diamonds.
Okay.
So, like, the dragonfly wrangler would want to trade in, like, cool animals.
Okay.
Or like neat stuff that he
I
hasn't
would
seen.
never call them this, but you should refer to them as Her Dragonflyness.
Oh.
She does not appreciate a wrangler.
Sorry,
What does
I didn't
she-
quite catch it. What should we call her?
Dragons.
Her Dragonflyness.
Okay, thank you.
Does she, like, want to have animals as pets, and that's why we should bring them along?
I'm not really sure, to be honest, but she seems to really appreciate them.
Hasn't she seen Fey raccoons?
I'm sure.
Alright.
Fey raccoons.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Something more interesting than that.
Has it
Well,
been
I
10
can-
hours? I
I
don't...
like
I'm
bugbear.
From
from the 10 hours you said.
Oh, right.
oh, for him, yeah, absolutely.
I was like, there's something weird about the fact that he's just turning up and chatting. What is it? Right, he was gonna go fetch that
Absolutely.
person.
10 hours has passed, yeah.
Okay,
So, did you have any luck?
With the gentleman, yes. Much like you, seems to have lost a portion of his memory, very directly related to a single topic. And so you should talk to him in just a moment. Was there something else? I could almost swear there was something that was asked of
I
me.
mean, I'm always on the lookout for chocolate. They only had a little bit here, and it was really bitter.
Give me just a moment on that, but I can get you chocolate.
Thank you.
Bolts, rope, chalk, diamonds, which we couldn't do anything about.
We
Okay.
have been talking about whether, oh, I guess you already said no, whether there was anything that can, like, help us, you know, in a volcano, fiery.
Right. Is Basare around?
Well, yeah, and let us go talk to Basari and this gentleman.
Pickaxes.
They turn and begin
Right,
to
the
walk.
pickaxes.
Pickaxes for everyone.
You've all, pickaxes.
Yes. I have one.
There's
I
like
will
8
give
pickaxes.
me a
in
mo-
the back.
Okay.
And a shovel.
let me bring you to these two, and then I will find you pickaxes. And they like walk out this way to them, and they walk out. What?
Could you also find some sort of climbing kit in case to
Pickaxe.
climb?
When you say climbing kit, I provided rope. Do you mean pythons, or what do you mean?
Oh,
A grapple hook?
Titan would be great. actually.
How many?
A small hammer.
Okay, wait. How many are there? Oh
I've
my
got
god.
pythons.
Oh, we're going to a volcano. Oh, will they melt? Are they metal pythons? I'm assuming. Yes, probably.
There's most pythons in
I
metal,
mean, like,
otherwise
I would
they're
guess like
stakes.
40.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
I've got
That's a pretty
pythons. I
reasonable
don't know
amount.
why you're all fixated
I'm
on pythons
I'm
right
not
now.
sure that this winery will have 40 pythons. I know for a fact there's at least several, so we'll find
Perhaps
something for you.
something like a grappling claw attached to the rope. Like even like
Maybe in the agent room.
I was just thinking maybe like a gardening rake that we could attach or something.
Ori.
No, I gotta climb, and I always end up having to climb freestyle. And
Day off.
if I fall, I die.
I'll look, but can we recommend not using a garden as a grapple?
Well, I'm trying to think of things that are gonna be here.
That's why I was asking for pickaxes.
Thank you
Yes,
for running all
pickaxes
these
would
errands
absolutely-
for
I
us.
suppose a pickaxe would work if
Yeah.
you threw it correctly,
Oh,
like an anchor.
Maybe we should go talk to
You
some.
know
ball type,
where I
there's
can
two.
find the nearest replica of the Treaty of Four Seasons. I know I've only joined this group recently, and I have read it before, but
It was
as
taken.
suggested cards, I feel like I should probably read it more closely.
When we go to the Austin we can stop off in the Spire Phase chamber and look at the copy that's in the Emerald Spire.
Okay.
Take a screen.
I imagine if we are going to come back from the Feywild, that is the gate that we'll use.
And so we're heading north still.
Well, I was intending to head into the hallway and then into the main chamber.
Yeah, so
I don't
do you
think
want
you're
to
gonna get there for a while.
Or, yeah, people.
But I do see that you have breakfast and I could eat, so if we're going to stay. He takes a couple more steps inside and then just sits down at the table and starts eating some bread and turns and like looks at you guys while eating.
Pass him a plate.
I start reading as well.
Should I go get
Just
the
bread.
sare and
Oh, that's what it
Is
was.
hungry.
That's what it was. And he turns and he reaches into this big bag and he pulls out this kind of like golden looking disc and he says, "This was a gift from another associate further to the east. But I think it will serve all of you quite well, as it doesn't appear as if many of you eat especially well. Please." And he gives you this little, it looks almost like a golden hand mirror without the handle. And you'd actually seen this before. Previously, it had been much longer and had been covered in food. And Hearsome had been eating it at a bar that had not served food to you all previously.
Aha.
And he says, once per day. And you do need to be specific when you activate it, but it can provide you a feast. And it will provide you food that you imagine. Now, please be aware, if you do imagine something like a ham sandwich, and you think about how bad it would taste if that ham was rotten, it will be rotten ham. So please picture clearly.
Alina's just gonna reach out and take it out of his hands before anybody else can.
It's beautiful. It's a metal that you've never seen before, and as you hold it, it's like there's a very, very faint pattern that is only visible as it moves and then is gone.
She's gonna tuck it into the bag of holding. Does this item have a name?
It's from Campaign 1, so I have to go back and look.
It's from campaign 1, he says.
Yeah,
All right,
I mean, none of you
call it
would
the
recognize this actually, although
Blade of
Gunter and Shay would recognize this is a Zinni crafted item that was created by the hands of your
Unky?
uncle.
Funky.
And you briefly had it before you all lost it.
Okay. Blade
Well,
of Eden.
Morwen lost it, right?
Yes.
Because she threw it off.
Purely technically. As Morwen lost most of our things.
I'm sad. She literally just threw half of our equipment off of a cloud city because she was sad.
That does mean that at some point in the last 10 years, that item was dug out of the snow underneath Yorn and somehow has made its way over here, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, whoa.
So, anything else?
Well, let's see. Chocolate. What are we still missing?
How was your trip?
Oh, it was great. Very brief. I stepped through the portal and this guy went, huh, and I grabbed him and he's in the hall.
Oh, I'm sure he wasn't traumatized by that. Yeah, I'm sure it was
It
fine.
seems after he stopped screaming that gaining his memory back was significantly better in the hole than wandering through the wastes for several months, which is what he had been doing.
Fair. Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and thanks for all the help you give us.
Thank you for the service that you're rendering to the realm, and more importantly to me, the Feywild. Please. And he stands up and walks out into the hallway. And as he opens the door, you can see now sitting on the ground is Sermenti, and leaning up against the wall because they've been standing out there now for 20 minutes. The tactical prince, Rosari Colmonger. They look at you, Sermenti kind of gets up and brushes off, and he says, all of you, I remember you.
Hi.
It's different. It's hard to remember like a dream, but I do remember you.
You feeling better?
It's hard to remember what I did feel like.
You didn't
You were
seem
really
great.
sad.
I'm
Kept
sorry.
saying,
Oh,
you
no,
shouldn't
that's
be
okay.
here. You shouldn't be here. You
Well,
were
it was not a good place.
right, but you were under some sort of spell. It seemed.
Yes.
It seemed that you were under the succubus's charm, as were many that we found in those Kirtaladar.
Well, we had set off to try to do more research in Blackvein. My associate, something of an expert on the crystals that grow there, you see. But something happened, and we were caught in the fields. And that's kind of where I don't remember anymore.
Do you remember what caught you or who?
No.
Were you shipping a bunch of books?
We had brought in books with us, yes.
Hey.
Okay,
Was
well.
one of them the Archivum Lustrum?
You see immediately no insight check needed. That makes them a little bit visibly anxious. And they look you up and down, and there's something familiar about you. What do you know of that book?
What I know about that book is that we found a cart full of burning books, and that was one of them. But
We didn't bring that. It must have been. I don't know anything about that.
okay, if I look familiar too, I also used to be a scholar of the Austenloch.
You can see at this, he kind of looks around, and he just goes,
Not me.
what?
Not me, though.
Not any of us.
Just me.
Okay, you say that.
Okay.
He goes and just looks, but mostly he looks around at everybody, and all of a sudden he draws a little bit closer to you, and he says, "We should talk. Just you and I. Come." And he brings off, and you can see Hirschman goes, "Well, that lasted only a minute," and he sits down in the hall, and the group again kind of splits off as you and them presumably walk off a little bit into the hall. So, give me 1 second here. So you walk over down the hall, and there are dryads that are working, and you could hear that olive tree again, just kind of being "Oh, keep it down, my head," and there's just all kinds of stuff happening. But he pulls you a little closer, almost to use that sound as cover, and he says, "Did you forget too?"
Yes.
He turns and looks, and he says,
And
"I don't."
I suspect.
Shh. They're always listening. He looks around and just says, "Where are you going from here?
First off, who are they?
Where are you going from here?"
We are going to I forget the name of the mountain. Vincent forgets the name of the mountain, but what's the name of the mountain that Basare is?
This is Karutar Artraya.
I was about to
We
say
go
that.
to Karutara Aitraya.
Volcano.
The ghost-throated earth dragon.
Sorry, say that again.
What you just said. The gold-throated earth dragon.
What
What is
language
that?
is that? It's a name of. I know it as the name of the
Ignan.
mountain.
Ignan?
Hmm.
You don't speak it.
I do not speak Ignan.
Ah, where did you hear that name? Where is this place that you're going to?
It is a Irsum, our what is he to us? Is
like our
patron the right
patron,
word?
yeah.
Okay.
Be careful about
Yeah, there you go.
Pearson. Be very careful.
Why?
He looks around. Just be careful. They're always listening. And if they took your memory, it was for a reason. He looks around again. I'll find you again. But not here.
Okay.
He kind of straightens up a little bit and going back to the group, and this is something that you probably don't need to hear like any kind of inside check for, because you can see like he's not good at hiding the fact that he's very anxious, but he comes back and just kind of goes, yes, the Arsenlock. Arsenlock is a good place to live. I was just catching up with a fellow scholar. And Pearson just kind of goes, of course. So I found this gentleman for all of you. So he's here now, and you have him. Have you decided if you would like to take a little bit more of a covert approach, or if you intend to storm these gates? And Basari says, they destroyed the gates when they came in the first time. That might make it easier to get in. I don't know what they've built since, and fire giants are known for being good craftsmen.
You said that one of them spoke to you. Did the others say anything, or?
They had chased us through some of the caverns beneath the volcano, and they were the only one that was there. I don't think they would have given us that chance if others had been.
Right. So the chances of diplomacy by walking up to the front door,
Probably slim,
perhaps
knowing us.
sneak in and then try to talk to someone. Is there any?
You can see Hirsum's eyes are on Brasari, and he said, and they stay on Brasari as he says, "Of course, you'll do everything that you can to solve this diplomatically, but ultimately," and then that's when he like breaks his gaze and he says, "We need the fire giants removed."
Is there anything about the fire giant that, I guess, let you go that would be identifiable?
Brasari kind of smiles and he says, "He's missing his left ear."
All right.
It's pretty
Look
identifiable.
for the fire giant
That's a
missing his
question.
left ear. All right. Well, we should look for this one if we're going to try to persuade them to leave.
It's not just fire giants. They had a hellhound with them that was bigger than any I've ever seen before. And like many giants, they take captives. So who knows what they have.
Okay. Anything
I'm
else that
starting to think that sneaking
we
in
should-
is probably a good idea.
be aware of within the mountain or within the volcano that could pose any problems?
When we had our home, there was a place where we entertained guests from far and wide across the Feywild. Many of them, like all of you, were not as resistant to fire, and so if there is something that can protect you, that's where it would be.
All right.
Are there poisonous gases?
Yes, to you.
So it's in the Great Hall.
This is
Can
sounding
you-
less appealing by the minute.
Can you draw us a map of the fortress, whatever you want to call it?
I can put together what I remember.
Yeah.
I'm not a cartographer by any means.
Stick figures are great. Just give us just a little more information than we have if you don't draw us something.
Hirsim, and Hirsim is like, of course, I have everything. And he like reaches into the bag and he like goes through a couple things and he pulls out like some parchment and he pulls out like a quill and he pulls out ink and just all these different things. And Basari sets about drawing up a map for you. And I will draw for you a moderately okay map in the interim. And as he sets about doing this, you can see it is sort of a curved structure that if you visualize it as a city, that's kind of wrong. It's several chambers, and you've been in the Underdark. It's kind of set up like an Underdark city. There are chambers of buildings and then tunnels that connect them. There is one main one in the center where many of these buildings are located. He tries his best to do like a ventilation system, but it's really just several lines that you imagine are not particularly like accurate, that symbolize the fact that there are multiple entrances that are small that feed into a central shaft that then will feed into the central chamber itself. And yeah, he'll hand over the map to you and say, it's really all that I can remember.
This is great. Thank you.
But it's a volcano. Things change often.
Uh-huh.
Are you familiar with where the giants used to live before they took the mountain from you?
A little bit. It's in the material plane. So, up north, there used to be beautiful forests. And not volcanoes, but across the sea, you know, there's Gath and Ganon, and that is entirely volcanic activity. And I think owing to that, maybe that's why they live there. I don't know where in that region. But when the forest burned, whatever caused that pushed them south.
Was that us?
No.
It was probably us, right?
Wait, what?
Oh, it can't
Are
be
you
on
asking?
us. Freeing dragons.
Dragons.
It's fine.
There weren't dragons before, and there are
Yep,
dragons
and there
now,
are
and that is
now.
your fault. Well, little column A, little column B. So he says, and I don't know exactly what that was, but that's when they came 6 years ago.
So I guess there's nothing left to do but to
Start walking.
get going.
Oh, we won't be walking. That's so mundane. Come along. And he like gets up and Basara kind of sighs and says, before all of you go, I doubt that you'll find anything like this, but that is where my father fell. And if there is anything that you can find that might commemorate that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Of course.
Thank you. Even if you don't succeed, thank you for trying. It's more than anybody else has done.
We'll do what we can.
Do you want a hug?
Are you asking that?
Yeah.
Make a persuasion check.
11.
No.
How about from me?
So Alina goes, "You're a loss," and then she's gonna walk away. And as she like comes up next to Hirsim, she's gonna go, "I'm walking right now."
Okay, you walk, and then as you walk by here, Samantha goes, I'll take a hug. And
Oh, sure, bud.
okay, he's giving him a hug, he gives you a hug, and he just goes, it's been so cold for so long. And he just gives you like a big hug, and he just goes, thank you. He turns and gives you like a last lingering look, and he says, we'll find each other again.
Till we meet again.
I'm planning on going back to the Emerald Spire. Have you ever been to the Endless March?
Do I know what the Endless March is?
Make a history check. Cheshire, are you there?
Yeah.
You've heard of the
Always.
Endless March. The Endless March is a infamous bar. It is the subject of many like bard songs. This is the House of the Rising Sun in Everest. And so this is like the place where, you know, at the end of the night where like every other place is closed, if you are maybe a troublemaker or a lost soul, this is where you end up. There's actually a very famous song
By
about
Millie Winslow.
Dirty 20.
No.
Dirty 20 in the history check.
So you are aware of the Endless March. You actually, I mean, give me 1 second here. Pull up some more.
Oh yeah, we like that, Lord.
So actually, the person who wrote the song, which is called The Endless March of the Emerald Spire, is somebody who goes by the name of the Crossroads Bard. And though you don't know how literal the song is, the way to find it, the song reads, "Seek the sign of twisted steel and walk the steps of bone. The booze won't change quite how you feel, but at least you aren't alone." And if that's literal, that means you just find some steps made out of bone. You find a sign of twisted steel that reads the Endless March, and that's how you find that place.
Okay, so I will say I've heard of it, but I've never been.
Well, that is where I'll be. And if it's too long and I hear that your group returns, I'll see if I can send word to you as well.
Okay. Which section of the city is it in?
It's in the lower spire phase, but that's not how you can approach it. I don't have any sending stones on me. I'll find some way of getting in touch with you if you come back to the spire.
Okay, I'll tell him that we stay at the, was it Wincing Manicore?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
It's
Wait.
fine.
Is that
It's kind of one of those things where you're just like, oh yeah, we're staying at McDonald's. And he's just like, it's more like, and you've seen Crispy, like he's not exactly like a beacon of welcoming to most people, with the exception of Ori. And so like,
if we're in the city, that's where you can find us, likely.
all right.
You don't like crispy?
Are you saying that? He turns and he says, no, I'm surely you noticed there's nobody staying in that place.
This is his pickaxe.
What?
He's very accommodating.
This is Chrissy's pickaxe.
Oh, lovely.
He makes a mean drink and drink under the table too.
Well, I'll look for you, Valis. And he kind of like awkwardly shuffles back and like sits down again. Hears some turns and says, I hesitate to ask, but anything else before we leave?
The chocolate?
Right. Again, we'll ask Kazumi when we get there. Okay? And she may have the diamonds as well. Again, please refer to her by her preferred name. She will announce it, I'm sure.
What is the... I can't remember. What is it?
It was
again?
a
Come along now. He turns and like steps off, and because it is 10:04, as you all step out into the light of this day, making your way towards your next destination, that is where we're going to end for the evening. But thank you for everybody for joining us for this session. We'll be back next week with more D&D, but until then, please stay safe. It is crazy out there. Goodbye.
Bye.